I humbly ask Dr. P.K. Agarwal ma'am to receive the Kalposh as a symbol of her respect. Jyotsna? Okay. Professor Rakesh Pandey, sir. Professor Manjula Murari, ma'am. Professor S.M. Natu, sir.
Vidya Amritam Ashnute, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Through knowledge, one experiences immortality, and it is through knowledge that one acquires humility. With these redoubtable words, we request our esteemed guests to light the lamp of knowledge as our seniors and colleagues recite the Saraswati Vandana. We'd like to express our token of appreciation to Dr. P.K. Agarwal ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We now move on to the Saraswati Vandana.
या कुंदेन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्करप्तवृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निर्शेषजाड्यापहा।
I now request our beloved HOD sir, Professor Ivar Singh, to deliver the annual report for the department.
Chancellor Professor Sonia Nityanand, who could not come here because of the engagement, and we all know that there was a very sad news of demise of his father, Padam Shri Dr. Nityanand, who was director for more than 11 years in CJRI, a great figure and a great scientific personality, and it is a colossal loss for all of us and for the society. He will be remembered for everything he has done to the students, to the society, including KGMU, and of course CDRI and ITRC and the rest of the CSR labs. I was in ITRC for 1.5 years and could meet him and could see the persona, what he was. It is a great loss, and we all together pay our respect and homage to the great soul, Professor Dr. Nityanand sir, to get the eternal peace. Professor, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Abhijit Chandra, Dean Professor Amita Jain, my teacher Professor M.M. Goel, my colleague Dr. Bandana Mehrotra, my fellow colleague Dr. Suresh Babu, my dear Dr. Manish Singh, teacher of teachers Professor P.K. Agrawal ma'am, who has graced this occasion, and we feel fortunate and blessed. Thank you very much, madam. Dr. Anita Mehrotra, who is my senior and wife of Professor Raj Mehrotra, and we all know the family of Dr. Armil Mehrotra sir and Dr. K.M. Wahal sir. What towering they were, what was the aura, what was the pathology and at that moment, and how the pathology became the most prestigious department, not only here, but throughout India. So we today welcome you, ma'am. Dr. Amita Kumar, wife of Dr. Astosh Kumar, who has been my teacher, a great personality, and we will talk about him as well. Dr. Malini Srivastava, wife of Professor N. Srivastava, who is also my teacher, but who is no more, and we pay our Professor Dr. S.M. Natu sir, our teacher, Dr. P.K. Gupta, all the faculty present in this audience, Dr. Rashmi Chaturvedi, all the students, all the residents, all the media persons. Now, this program cannot be complete unless we talk about our own family, and that family is, there has been some, I will say, mishappenings, untimely deaths, and we remember with respect, honor, and gratitude Professor Raj Mehrotra sir, who died during COVID time. Professor Raj Mehrotra is my teacher. He was instrumental in hepatorenal establishment of the lab. He was a pioneer in histopathology, cytopathology, molecular pathology. His research was of eminence academics of KGMU. We remember today Professor Astosh Kumar sir, who happens to be my teacher, and he was pioneer in hematology. He established coagulation lab. He did all the latest and we can say the molecular pathology related to the hereditary anemia. He was pioneer in leukemia diagnosis, in lymphoma diagnosis, and not only diagnosis, but because of him, many patients were several other issues, hematologist, and they even cured. He was also head of the department of the blood bank. Dr. Astosh Kumar sir was head of the department of our department. I forgot to tell that Professor Raj Mehrotra also was head of department of pathology. Professor Astosh Kumar was also Dean Academics. So we can see that how many deans are from our place, from pathology. Dr. M.R.S. Kushwaha, then Dr. Raj Mehrotra, Dr. Astosh Kumar. The third, my teacher is Professor N. Srivastava sir, mean, it is very sorry to state that he is no more recently, and he was a pioneer in histopathology, cytopathology, molecular pathology. He organized many CMA and conferences, and he was instrumental in making IMA. IMA was a single room. It became IMA Lucknow. It becomes IMA with blood bank. Dr. P.K. Gupta is also here. He will be better, appreciate the efforts of Dr. N. Srivastava, sir. We pay our homage to all of them. Now, if we go back in our history of the department, I do want to pay homage to our few of the teachers, late teachers, Professor Armel sir, Professor K.M. Wahal sir, Professor Dinkar Chandra, Professor M.R.S. Kushwaha, who are no more, but it is their efforts. Words are not enough to describe that what they did, because of which there is, the legacy which we have in Department of Pathology, of prestige, of accuracy, and of service providing services. We are fortunate that among us is today present is Professor P.K. Agrawal ma'am, who is wife of Professor Ramesh Chandra, who was head of Department Plastic Surgery and also principal of KGMC. I have talked about Dr. Malini Srivastava, who is 1971 batch Georgian. She was a faculty in anesthesia, left because of the personal reasons, and as I have already told, that she is wife of Professor N. Srivastava. I would like to remember Dr. Kiran Agrawal, Dr. Nuzhat, Dr. Kohli, Dr. S.N. Natu sir, and Dr. Meenakshi Kar, Dr. Manisha Bagchi. They are all our teachers. Now, KGMU की जो रेटिंग हुई है, हालांकि आजकल तो दूसरे ढंग से रेटिंग होती है, लेकिन KGMU की जो रेटिंग हुई है वो पेशेंट की वजह से है, स्टूडेंट्स की वजह से है, फैकल्टी की वजह से है, और पेशेंट्स को बहुत ज्यादा विश्वास है पिछले 100 सालों से, वो यहाँ आते हैं, ठीक होते हैं। स्टूडेंट्स जो आते हैं यहाँ पे वो लाइटेंड होके जाते हैं, जो फैकल्टी है वो मोर देन द लाइफ साइज वो अपने कंट्रीब्यूशन करते हैं, और वो न केवल यहाँ पे चीजों को इनलाइटन करते हैं, बल्कि उन्होंने जाके तमाम इशू इंक्लूडिंग द AIIMS, SG, PGI, IMS एंड यू कैन नेम many more issues जो कि उन्होंने बनाए हैं। ये जब भी हो पाया है कि हम चाहे पेशेंट हो, चाहे स्टूडेंट हो, चाहे फैकल्टी हो, हम सभी खुश हैं, हमारा परिवार खुश है, और ये खुश तभी रह सकता है जब ईश्वर की कृपा है। तो हमारे जो कंट्रीब्यूशंस हैं, और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि ऑलमाइटी गॉड की ब्लेसिंग्स है कि हम इतने प्रॉस्पेरिटी, इतने नाम, फेम और बेनेवोलेंस का काम कर पा रहे हैं। KGMU जो मुझे लगता है, वो मैं कहता भी रहता था डॉक्टर भाई साहब से कि ये एक सिद्ध पीठ है, और ये सिद्ध पीठ इसलिए है क्योंकि ये मेरा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है, क्योंकि मैं 72 में यहाँ पे 6 महीने तक ऑर्थोपेडिक्स वार्ड 2 में रहा, और मैं रिमेम्बर करता हूँ, रेस्पेक्ट, ऑनर और होमेज पे करता हूँ पद्म श्री प्रोफेसर M.K. गोयल साहब का, जिन्होंने कि मेरा लाइफ बचाया। और लाइफ बचाने की तो बात दूसरी है, उन्होंने मुझे कैसे जीना चाहिए ये सिखाया, कहना चाहिए उंगली पकड़ के उन्होंने चलाया, और उन्होंने क्या नहीं किया, सब कुछ जो वो कहते थे कि तुमको मैं दौड़ा दूंगा, तुमको मैं दुनिया में नाम करा दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें डॉक्टर बना दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें ये करा दूंगा, तो वो जो शब्द थे वो ब्रह्म साबित हुए। उन्होंने कहा, और शायद वो सभी कुछ हो गया। मैं यहाँ पेशेंट भी रहा हूँ, मैं यहाँ स्टूडेंट भी रहा हूँ, मैं यहाँ पे फैकल्टी भी हूँ, कल को रिटायर कर जाऊंगा, कल को बट नेचुरल है कि लाइफ विल कम टू एन एंड। इस सिद्ध पीठ में कुछ ऐसा है जिसके बारे में हमें पता नहीं है, लेकिन है। हर तरीके से आप देख लीजिए कि वर्ल्ड में एक ही इंस्टीट्यूशन जिसमें इतने पेशेंट आते हों, इतने स्टूडेंट्स आते हों, इतने लोग रहते हों, सब पॉजिटिव निगेटिव होने के बावजूद भी नंबर 1 है, तो कुछ ना कुछ ब्लेसिंग है जिसे कि हम देख नहीं सकते, महसूस कर सकते हैं। हम आज जो भी हैं केजीएमसी में अपने डिपार्टमेंट चलाते हैं, या पूरा हमारा जो केजीएमसी चल रहा है, उसका जो कहना चाहिए कि बैकबोन है वो रेजिडेंट्स हैं। वो 24/7 काम करते हैं। वो कितना काम करते हैं ये हम सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं, और इसी वजह से कुछ भी नहीं है और केजीएमसी में सब कुछ है। तो इसके जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जो मेन है, इट इज नॉट द बिल्डिंग एंड ऑल दैट, इट इज द रेजिडेंट्स जो केवल काम ही नहीं करते हैं, वो अपना ब्लड भी देते हैं, वो पैसा भी देते हैं, वो अपना श्रम भी देते हैं, वो पेशेंट को ले जाके उनके घर तक छोड़ते हैं। न्यूरो सर्जरी के बहुत सारे अनआइडेंटिफाइड लोग आए और उन्होंने ऐसा किया। फिर दूसरी चीज जो हम लोग ब्लेस्ड हैं, वो फैकल्टी हमारे डिपार्टमेंट की जो कि यंग है, बहुत इनलाइटेंड है, और कहना चाहिए कि वो शेयर्ड इंटेलिजेंस पे विश्वास करती है। वो हाथ से हाथ मिला के कुछ भी प्रोग्राम होता है तो उसे वो आगे बढ़ाती है। As a ritual, I would like to read few of the things of the Foundation Day report. And firstly, I will say that several academic activities were organized in the year 2023, namely the Pathology, number 1, Pathology Annual Oration by Professor Sumit Putral, Dr. Sumita Gokhale, and Dr. Mamta Kankada. Lecture in Hematology, a skill share series by Dr. Arun K. Arunachalam and Dr. Divya Mehta. Endocrine Pathology Updates Thyroid, Diagnostic Thyroid Pathology Workshop, UP Cytocon 2023. Guest lectures were taken by Dr. Salja Kumar, Dr. Sunita Upadhyay, Dr. Harish Chandra. They are all professors on the occasion of International Georgian Alumni Meet. Notable achievements of the department in last 1 year is increase in the postgraduate seats from 14 to 20, increment in senior resident seats to 20, initiation of the newer PBCC courses in neuropathology, neuropathology, obstetrics and gynecology pathology, cytopathology, and advanced diagnostic and clinical pathology. 35 MBBS students successfully completed the elective courses in various categories including immunoassay and endocrine disorders, electron microscopy, diagnostic cytopathology, microcytic hypochromic anemia, immunohistochemistry, and cancer diagnosis. The contribution of the faculty is, the faculty has published around 75 papers in the national and international peer-reviewed journals in the last academic year. Book chapters contributed by Dr. Geeta Yadav, multiple ongoing intramural and extramural projects by the various faculties of the department, guest lecture taken on national platform by Dr. Rashmi Kushwaha, Dr. Atin Singhi, they are all professors, Dr. Ritu Jaiswal, Dr. Wahid Ali, Dr. Madhu Kumar, Dr. Preeti Agarwal, Dr. Mili Jain, Dr. Chanchal Rana, and Dr. Geeta Yadav. Professor Ritu Jaiswal received the International Fellow of the College of the American Pathologists, April 2023. Dr. Preeti Agarwal, again Professor Preeti Agarwal received membership of the Specialist Board of the Pathology, National Board of Examination, NEBMS. Dr. Sumaira Qayyum, Professor Sumaira Qayyum received affiliate memberships of Royal College of Pathology, England, which is a very coveted achievement. Received senior and junior residents, namely Dr. Fatima Khan, Dr. Damini Singh, Dr. Shalini Singh, Dr. Himandri Sukla, Dr. Isha Makkar, Dr. Sipra Singh, and Dr. Apurva Gangwar were awarded in several national and international conferences for their research work. Dr. Sipra Singh was winner of the quiz held at IAPM ID, which is a huge achievement. Senior and junior residents, namely Dr. Aruna Singh, Dr. Manish Shukla, Dr. Shalini Rawat, Dr. Krashi Agarwal, Dr. Devansi Dubey, Dr. Nida Sabir have published the research paper, which is commendable.
infrastructure for the patient care, inauguration of state-of-art coagulation lab January 2023, and we remember when it was done, Professor Ashutosh Kumar sir, for all his efforts. Sample collection center in dental faculty, the clinical pathology lab, or the lab which Dr. Wahed is running, has central facility, central lab in the department. Then it has peripheral lab, and it is situated at various places like the cardiology, trauma. It has a RLC, several other places, Queen Mary's and all that. And one more was added, sample collection center in the dental faculty. This facility is 24/7 throughout the year, and the sample size in lakhs. And the patients are diagnosed, treatment given, follow-up done, everything and all the data we have. The new investigation, expanded chemical tests were added by this laboratory: serum ceruloplasmin level, urine copper, plasma renin activity, aldosterone, iron, IgG, IgM, IgA, IgE levels. Expanded real-time PCR based on molecular test, HPV, KRAS, and EGFR. Expanded FISH panel were added, new antibodies added to the ISC panel, and stem cell innovation by the flow cytometry has also been added. New instrument procured is 1/4 model tissue processor, 2 fully automated microtomes were also procured. Real-time PCR machine, 1 decahead microscope added to the department to strengthen the PG student training and learning 2023. Audio-visual facility, 2 in number, 1 in lecture theatre and 1 in the digital seminar room. Audio facility, 2 in number, 1 in each museum and departmental library. Prizes and awards by the faculty. Dr. Sanjay Misra received Medical Excellence Award Certificate for contribution in the health services in the UP by the HTDMS Medical Excellence Award in 2023. Dr. Geeta Yadav received Dr. Rashmi Kushwaha, Dr. Preeti Agarwal, and Dr. Chanchal Rana received Eminence in Research Award and Research Case KGMU 2023. So that was in short about the what we want to let you know. The challenges are there, and our challenges are the challenges of KGMU. All the Vice Chancellor, all the administration, especially the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sonia Nityanand, and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Abhijit Kaur, and the Dean Ma'am, Professor Amita Jain, they are making all the efforts to take the challenges, and it is amicably being resolved. It is a great day of celebration for all of us. The program is successful because you all have come. The program is successful because it is the legacy which we are running, a shared legacy, I will say. The intelligence also is shared. Everything is shared here, and we as a family are growing with the blessings of our teacher, our colleague, our students, and everything. I always say that the new generation comes with a better intelligence, because in evolution, the species is protected for survival, and of course, the more we go, upward in evolution, it is never and never retrograde, it is always progressive. So our residents now, and even the undergraduates, they are having immense power, immense intelligence, and when we talk to them, we find ourselves in difficult position. They are so good. I wish you all best of luck. You all have come. I welcome you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai KGMU.
Thank you, sir, for combining the past and present in your wise words. I now humbly request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Abhijit Kaur Ma'am, to address the Assembly.
Good morning. On behalf of Professor Sonia Nityanand, I, in the capacity of the Pro Vice Chancellor, stand here welcoming each one of you as guests. Actually, I would now refrain from using the word guest because this is your department. You are the ones who have actually given it your time, given it your effort, and brought it to where it is. My salute to each one of you. On a personal note, I have very warm and affectionate relationships with, I think, almost all the people who have come here today. And I am really, really grateful to be able to see you once again in this position, in this Selby Hall, which is so dear to all of us. Celebration of a Foundation Day is actually not just a date on a calendar. It is the culmination of somebody's vision to make a place, make an institution, to seed it and subsequently nurture it with the toil, with the time, and the most precious effort and human intent that takes in making anything. They traveled this rough path. It was never smooth. In the beginning, it's never smooth. They gave their time, effort, and so much of service just to see their passion flower. So the Department of Pathology is actually the passion flower of all of you. Currently, the department is blessed to have a strong academically inclined faculty. And I really don't know how much all of you know the current faculty, but I can proudly name Shalini, Riddhi, Preeti, Sumaira, you name an activity. I'm sorry, some names are left out, but whether it is the NAC accreditation, Pathology is participating. Whether it is the convocation, Pathology is participating. Whether it is the IQAC, Pathology is participating. Whether it is the Medical Education Department, Pathology has a representation. Congratulations to each one of you. And I'm sure with so much spirit in all of you, you will really, really take the department forward. My best wishes and heartiest congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those kind and encouraging words. I now request our Dean Academics, Professor Amita Jain, ma'am, to kindly say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Abjeet Kaur, Professor U.S. Singh, Head of Pathology, Dr. Madhumati Goel, so many of my teachers I see in the audience. It's really overwhelming. Dr. P.K. Agarwal, Dr. Natu, Dr. Rakesh Pandey, Manjula ji, so many of my friends, Vandana, Meeta. It's overwhelming. For me, pathology, though I never got an opportunity to work in this department as faculty, but I had the opportunity to study here as a PG student. So I feel like it's my parent department, and I also feel like I'm daughter of the department. So I have a stronger connect that maybe rest of the faculty in the institution might have. And I think except me and US, we are the last two left on the campus who came out from that one single department of Path and Pact, and now for us also it's time to move ahead. Very shortly we'll be not on the campus. Anyway, on the behalf of university, welcome to each one of you. I congratulate the whole faculty, residents, and the staff of Department of Pathology for celebrating 111th Foundation Day. Department is as old as this institution is. So it's one of the first departments which was brought in, and we are celebrating 111th Foundation Day. That's no mean achievement. I also congratulate the head Pathology for this innovative movement of bringing corporate and academic culture together. It will be a new experience for our students to listen to two very noted pathologists, Dr. Madhumati Goyal ji, she's one of us, and Dr. Bandana, who comes from purely corporate culture. So that will be very nice to listen to of them, and it will be nice if they can. Once again, I congratulate each one of you and thank Dr. U.S. Singh for this opportunity to say a few words. Best wishes.
Thank you, ma'am. I now humbly request our Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Abjeet Kaur ma'am, and our Dean Academics, Professor Amita Jain ma'am, to offer a small token of appreciation to Professor Madhumati Goyal ma'am. Ma'am, may we request you to come forward, please? May I ask other dignitaries, Dr. Bandana Mehrotra ma'am and Dr. Manish Kumar Singh sir, to join them? Professor U.S. Singh sir and Professor Suresh Babu sir, kindly.
And now it is time to felicitate our future pathologists, our final year residents who have been brilliant in their own right.
Dr. Bandana Mehrotra ma'am. And now a small token of appreciation to Dr. Manish Kumar Singh sir.
Associate Professor, Hematology, HGPGI.
He's the Associate Professor at the Department of Hematology at the SGPGIMS, Lucknow.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
And now it is time to felicitate our future pathologists, our final year residents. I request the third year residents to receive their certificates as I announce their names. Dr. Anjana Sankar. These are final year residents who are receiving a token of appreciation from the department. Dr. Shaila Faiz, Dr. Shabnam Jahan, Dr. Richa Singh, Dr. Aisha Mahmood, Dr. Garima Singh, Dr. Purva Gangwar, Dr. Rehna Raju, Dr. Shalini Verma. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Please be seated. As we go.
I'm sorry, please stay back.
Ma'am, I would request please stay back. As we celebrate this joyous occasion, we must also remember the dedicated service of stalwarts.
I'm sorry, there's been some confusion. I'll request the dignitaries to please stay back. There are some more felicitations to be done. So as we celebrate this joyous occasion, we must also remember the dedicated service of stalwarts, whose untimely demise has left an unsurmountable void in our field. Dr. A. Srivastava was a steadfast personality who joined KGMU as a research assistant in 1970. Retiring from this institute in 2009, his work in the field of histopathology was unparalleled. I would request his better half, Dr. Malini Srivastava, to kindly receive a token of appreciation.
Professor Raj Malhotra, sir, has left an indelible mark as a former head of department and former dean faculty of medicine. His demise during the COVID pandemic dealt a great blow to us. Nevertheless, today we have the opportunity to felicitate sir with proper honors. I would now request Dr. Anita Mehrotra ma'am to receive a token of appreciation from us. May we also take this opportunity to honor our former head of department, May we take this opportunity to honor former head of department, lead Professor Ashutosh Kumar Sir, who joined KGMU as an assistant professor in 1983 and retired as Dean Faculty of Medicine in 2018. Sir made remarkable contributions to the fields of hematology. I would request Dr. Amita Kumar to receive a token of appreciation from us. If residents are the bricks, then the technical staff is much like the cement that holds a department together. I would request the dignitaries to do the honors of offering our regards. May I request Mr. Mahendra Kumar Soniji to kindly accept a small farewell gift from us. We mustn't forget the contributions which were made by the late Mr. Ramesh Chandra Avasthi ji. I request his son, Mr. Rajesh Avasthi, to kindly accept our gratitude. Unfortunately, he is not here. I request Ms. Sandhya ji to receive the gratitude. Ms. Sandhya. Now, I request our dignitaries to unveil the Pathology Department's newsletter for the year 2023-24. We thank our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Abjeet Kaur Ma'am and Dean Academics Professor Mehta Jan Ma'am for taking the time of their busy schedule to be part of a special ceremony. I request Professor U.S. Singh Sir and Professor Suresh Babu Sir to acknowledge the same. ठीक है, मैं अभी एक रीड कर रहा हूँ। हाँ सबको मिल गया, मुझे बस इसी में जाके मैं रीड आउट करना है। ठीक है, थैंक यू सर, प्लीज। अमिता मैम, अमिता मैम प्लीज। ठीक है।
Now to move forward with the event today, it is time to hear from our much awaited speakers, I invite upon Professor Madhumati Goel ma'am, who was the former Pro Vice Chancellor of King George Medical University, currently working as a lab director of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine at Medanta Hospital. Having done her MBBS and MD from KGMU with more than 250 publications to her credit, she has over 40 years of experience in teaching, research and diagnostic pathology. So today it is our privilege to hear her view on the wheel of time, need to change. Ma'am.
Minimized have final oral oration, KGMU oration final. थैंक यू चंचल. अभी तो मुझे यहाँ आके ऐसा लग रहा है बिकॉज अब देखिए तो मेरे 47 इयर्स इस इंस्टीट्यूशन में निकले हैं और अभी जो हमारे साथ के लोगों के लिए इतनी सारी बातें हुई हैं उसके बाद मेरे मुंह में शब्द नहीं है, मेरी भावना शब्द नहीं पा रही है बिकॉज डॉक्टर एन श्रीवास्तव वो तो हमें रोज चाय बना के पिलाते थे और उन्हीं का खाना खाते थे, कटसी मान लीजिए. सो मेरी उनको बहुत बहुत श्रद्धांजलि. डॉक्टर आशुतोष मेरे क्लासमेट थे. हम डॉक्टर आशुतोष एंड डॉक्टर राकेश पांडे एंड एक और हमारी क्लास फेलो थी मीना टंडन. We came as first year demonstrator in 1978. So we had a long journey here. अब मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है, I'm feeling like homecoming. तो I am not a guest speaker. Somewhere it was written guest speaker. This is my home. मेरा घर है और I will take you to the journey of my life here. I will unfold chapters because this has been a temple of learning that groomed and shaped my destiny. So before I go further, I acknowledge my teacher, Dr. P.K. Agarwal is here. मालिनी जी, आप जो बैठे हैं वो डॉक्टर एन श्रीवास्तव के सिस्टर हैं, if I am not wrong. So मैं रिवर्स ऑर्डर में चल रही हूँ. डॉक्टर यूएस सिंह और हमारे जितने भी गेस्ट हैं, डॉक्टर अभिजीत इज लाइक यहाँ प्रो वीसी हैं. I can see Dr. Nilesh, Brigadier Nilesh. Okay, so I will acknowledge my faculty, but I am seeing in the house Anita ji हैं, Dr. Natu हैं, he has been my mentor also. बहुत discussions Dr. Natu के संग होते थे और for everything we used to discuss with Dr. Natu. तो इतने सारे लोग हैं, मनोज, I have seen all of them as student. So मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा कि मैं क्या कहूँ और क्या ना कहूँ और इतने आधे पौन घंटे में मैं सारी बात तो कह भी नहीं पाऊंगी. तो अगर मैं किसी को छोड़ दूं या किसी को एक्नॉलेज ना करूं तो मैं पहले से ही माफी मांगती हूँ इसके लिए. सो ये शिक्षा का मंदिर मेरे लिए, मैं जो भी हूँ, हम यहीं पैदा हुए, यहीं बड़े हुए और यहीं से चले गए. सो व्हाट आई एम टुडे इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पैथोलॉजी. And I owe everything to my great teachers and gurus. My sincere, heartfelt gratitude for their blessings showered on me. Shat shat naman un sabhi ko. If you see 47 years back, मुझे इतनी nostalgic feeling क्यों हो रही है? Because as first year student, I came in this hall only. So when I entered in this very hall, with my father as a naib, innocent, बिल्कुल एकदम novice first year student, totally intimidated by the grandiosity and magnificence of this royal building. जब हम आए थे ना तो ये सब नहीं था, ये सब बाद में change हुआ है. False ceiling. There was a huge Belgian glass chandelier at the top. There was a big dome from where it was hanging. So by need of time, the things changed. So till my superannuation, if you see, this is my first year picture, this is my final year picture, this is his young faculty, and this is my farewell with Dr. Amita Jain, Dean Dr. Uma Singh, and Professor MLB Bhatt, who was Vice Chancellor. Now this is my current picture. This was taken by P.K. Gupta, if you remember P.K. So my photo also is there with you. And this is Madam P.K. Agarwal. These two are post-retirement. And this is Golden Jubilee IAC, Indian Academy of Cytology, Golden Jubilee year. We were felicitated, me and Dr. P.K. Agarwal. So this is that picture. So this used to be the administrative block when I joined here. Beautiful spacious, lush green lawns. This is in front of the building, administrative block building, sprinkled with flowers. And every year, you know, these roses used to get prizes in flower show. So this was the beautiful, but again, need-based, things changed because as the needs. So there is no harm in that, but this was the beautiful administrative block and the flower beds. So much of development has taken place. हम जब यहाँ आए थे तो ऐसा वाला फोन था, स्ट्रेट ट्रंक डायलिंग नहीं थी. हमें अगर अपने पेरेंट्स को फोन करना होता था तो हम चौक पोस्ट ऑफिस जाते थे, वहां से कॉल बुक करके बैठते थे. अब क्या है कि अभी आपको एक सब्जी वाले के पास भी और हर एक के पास, काम वाली बाई के पास मोबाइल मिलेगा. सो दैट इज द एडवांसमेंट. सो वी हैव टू चेंज अकॉर्डिंगली. कभी सोचा था आपने कि इतना सब कुछ बदल जाएगा समय के संग, दुनिया आपकी मुट्ठी में होगी? आज आपके देखिए मुट्ठी में एक मोबाइल में सारी चीजें हैं. यू कैन ट्रेवल वर्ल्ड ओवर. सो आई विल नॉट टॉक नॉनसेंस नाउ. So my journey from 1972 to 2019, I have divided into time zones. From 1972 to 77, MBBS and internship from this very college. It used to be a college. Then from 1978, as I told you that I joined as demonstrator. उस समय residency scheme नहीं थी और resident demonstrators को clinical site के house officers से ज्यादा salary मिलती थी, 200 रुपए. तो हाउस ऑफिसर जो फर्स्ट ईयर रेजिडेंट वहां होता था उसको 600 रुपए मिलते थे और हमें 800 रुपए मिलते थे और हम बड़े खुश होते थे. सो आई डिड डिप्लोमा फर्स्ट. उस समय डिप्लोमा और एमडी के लिए हमारे प्रोफेसर आर मल्होत्रा साहब डिसाइड करते थे कि कौन एमडी करेगा, कौन डीसीपी करेगा. सो आई वाज टोल्ड, मी एंड मीना टंडन वर टोल्ड टू डू डीसीपी. हमारे पास कोई इफ्स एंड बट्स नहीं थी, बॉस ने कहा है इसलिए हमें तो डीसीपी ही करना है. सो आई डिड डीसीपी. And from 83, I was faculty, junior faculty rahe, middle faculty rahe, and senior faculty rahe. So I have seen evolution of pathology with evolution of the department of pathology. Because जितने भी आप developments देखेंगे वो early 19th century में हुए. और हमारा जो college है वो भी 20th century में आ गया था. तो early and late 19th century में developments हुए. और in the beginning of 20th century, this institution was brought. So besides the academic involvement in the department, वहां से तो हम बने और एक हमेशा एक प्रिंसिपल बना के रखा कि कितना भी काम हम करें, कहीं भी करें other than academic, अपना सब्जेक्ट नहीं छोड़ना है. So that I followed. So my association with administration has also been since 1993. And believe me, no चमचागिरी, nothing. आपको जो काम बताया गया वो आपने करा और पूरी शिद्दत से करा. एंड इतना सीखा, हर जगह पे इतना सीखा कि जिसका कोई मेरे पास जवाब नहीं है. सो आई हैव टाइमलेस मेमोरीज एंड एंडलेस इमोशंस. नाउ आई विल से टीचर्स हु मेड एन इम्पैक्ट ड्यूरिंग एमबीबीएस एंड इंटर्नशिप. मल्होत्रा साहब तो फॉन्डली यूज्ड टू कॉल हिम रमलू. मल्होत्रा साहब के लेक्चर के लिए पीछे तक लेक्चर थिएटर भरा रहता था. उस समय कॉलेज में ये सिंगल ऑडिटोरियम था. देयर आर ओनली 3 or 4 लेक्चर थिएटर्स. वन वाज इन पैथोलॉजी, एनाटॉमी, फिजियोलॉजी एंड फार्माकोलॉजी. न्यू एलटी इन फार्माकोलॉजी आल्सो वाज मेड लेटर ऑन. कहीं से भी आप शुरू करिए, एनाटॉमी टू फाइनल ईयर, प्रोफेसर एसी दास, सब इतने बड़े आर्टिस्ट थे और इतनी सुंदर ड्राइंग्स बनाते थे और ऐसा पढ़ाते थे कि जो कभी आज भी उनके वो नहीं भूले वर्ड्स. सो डॉक्टर आरवी सिंह वॉज प्रिंसिपल, बाद में भार्गव साहब हुए. बहुत ही स्ट्रिक्ट डिसिप्लिनेरियन थे. अगर किसी लड़की ने किसी लड़की की शिकायत कर दी डॉक्टर आरवी सिंह से तो उसका समझिए बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट एक्शन लेते थे. डॉक्टर राकेश पांडे विल रिमेम्बर, हम लोगों ने 4 रूम की शिकायत की थी. इफ यू रिमेम्बर, आप नहीं. एंड देन प्रोफेसर टीसी गोयल, अभी भी बात होती है उनसे. ही वॉज ग्रेट. उनकी 2 चीजें थी. एक था जिज्ञासा डायरी. वो कहते थे वो स्टूडेंट कैसा जिसमें क्यूरियोसिटी ना हो, अपनी डायरी दिखाओ और मुझे दिखाओ कि तुमने क्या क्वेश्चन लिखा है, आज तुम्हारे मन में क्या जिज्ञासा आई. अदरवाइज वो केस शीट में साइन नहीं करेंगे. और दूसरा था लाइब्रेरी कार्ड. एंड लाइब्रेरी हैज बीन वेरी क्लोज टू माई हार्ट. सो ही सेड कि आपको एक हफ्ते में 2 बुक्स लाइब्रेरी में जरूर कार्ड पे आपके इशू मुझे दिखने चाहिए। आप इशू जरूर कराते थे, पढ़ते थे या नहीं पढ़ते थे ये तो उस तरह याद नहीं है। फिर सर्जरी में आए, मेडिसिन में डॉक्टर एन गुप्ता का कोई जवाब नहीं। जो क्लिनिकल सेंस उन्होंने दिया, पेशेंट जब वॉक करता था वो आपसे स्टूडेंट से पूछते थे व्हाट डिड यू सी, उसकी गेट देख के बताओ कि इसको क्या है। उस जमाने में सारे एसटीडीज वगैरह काफी थे। एक पेशेंट उन्होंने टिबीज डॉर्सलिस का दिखाया। तो इस तरीके से डॉक्टर एन गुप्ता का क्लिनिकल उसका कोई जवाब नहीं। वहीं पे एक प्रोफेसर एसिंग पांड्या साहब थे जो हर चीज को अपने पुराने शास्त्रों से कोरिलेट करते थे। अगर वो आपको लिंग्विस्टिक्स में पढ़ा रहे हैं तो वो ओम से बताते थे आ उ मा, इसका क्या मतलब है। आरती साई साहब, वंडरफुल टीचर, डॉक्टर दुबे, देन डॉक्टर कुट्टी देर। आई हैव रिटन डॉक्टर डी के छाबड़ा's name because हमें अंडर ग्रेजुएशन में उन्होंने पढ़ाया या नहीं पढ़ाया मुझे नहीं याद है, बट व्हेन आई वाज इंटर्न आई वाज पोस्टेड फॉर 1 month इन न्यूरो पोस्टडॉक। अब मैंने कभी किसी को नहीं देखा अपने आप पेशेंट की डस्टिंग करते हुए, पेशेंट का टर्न करते हुए या वॉश बेसिन में वो वहां पे साफ करते थे न्यूरो पोस्टडॉक। सो माय ट्रिब्यूट्स टू हिम, to Professor Mehrotra. So these were the teachers who imparted impeccable training, and they inculcated qualities like perseverance and compassion, a habit of punctuality, discipline and hard work. जब डिपार्टमेंट में आए, एमबीबीएस की तो बहुत सारी यादें नहीं है, जब डिपार्टमेंट में आए तो डॉक्टर आरएमएल मेहरोत्रा साहब की गाड़ी पोती को में खड़े होते थे। आपको किसी सबको अपने एचओडी की गाड़ी का नंबर याद है? मुझे आज भी याद है। डॉक्टर आरएमएल मेहता साहब के पास एक ऑस्टिन थी छोटी, उसका नाम 12 यूएसजे। So then I am much more blessed. और जो उनकी दूसरी एम्बेसडर थी, that was UPD 7754. So I'm right ना? So आप ऐसे समझ, हाँ? इनकी भी बाद में मैरिज हुई, हाँ? USJ 9812 was Austin and ambassador was 7754 UPD, right? नहीं, he was a mesmerizer. एक वो mesmerizer थे और एक डॉक्टर बीबी सेठी थे जिनको किसी ने नहीं देखा होगा। जब बीबी सेठी साहब बोलते थे, साइकाइट्री के उन्होंने क्लासेस भी लिए, अमेजिंग। आई थिंक दोज हु हैव स्टडीड अंडर हिम विल एग्री। So evolution of pathology and the department evolution. I will take you briefly to history. Most of the things have been told by Dr. U.S. Singh. So I will emphasize that we learn from our experiences and we learn from our history. A profession that is ignorant of its past experiences has lost a valuable asset because it has missed its best guide to the future. So जो भी हमारे संग पास्ट में हुआ है और आज हो रहा है, अब हम आज हैं कल पास्ट हो जाएंगे। So we learn from our experiences. अब देखिए हमारी जो पैथोलॉजी है that started with autopsy. So there was a time when pathology was considered to be the mother of medical science. Histopathology over the years, I will talk much about histopathology because I have been doing histopathology and cytology. ऐसा नहीं है एडवांसमेंट सारे सब्जेक्ट्स में हुए हैं। नागू साहब बैठे हैं, मुझे बाद में गुस्सा होंगे कि आपने बायोकेमिस्ट्री के लिए कुछ नहीं कहा। जितना एडवांसमेंट हुआ है, क्योंकि जब हम बायोकेमिस्ट्री करते थे तो हम सब मैनुअल करते थे, यूरिया लगाना है, क्रिएटिनिन लगाना है, और एग्जाम में डरे रहते थे एसजीपीटी मिल जाए तो क्या होगा, ब्लड शुगर होगा तो क्या होगा, बिकॉज सारी चीजें मैनुअल लगानी होती थी। अब क्या है कि इतने अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, ऑटोमेशन है, ट्रैक सिस्टम है, यू कैन अपलोड। So histopathology over the years has witnessed its evolution from mainly autopsy-based pathology to current molecular pathology. So we have gone so far, and the public owes to the dissectors of the dead, a death that has been seldom acknowledged or recognized. जो हम आज यहाँ हैं, जितने हमें systems मिले हैं, वो हमारे forefathers, हमारे seniors से मिले हैं, जिन्होंने इनको इतना extensively study किया, जो आपको पता है कि cause of disease क्या होता है. So, this is from William Boyd, the textbook of pathology which we used to read. तो पैथोलॉजी हैज इट्स बिगनिंग इन द ऑटोप्सी टेबल. और जब हम आए थे, अगर आपको याद हो, डॉक्टर राकेश को याद होगा कि डॉक्टर एम श्रीवास्तव हमारी ड्यूटी लगाते थे ऑटोप्सी में, और वो कभी ये नहीं कहते थे कि आपको करना है एज रेजिडेंट. सब निकाय डॉक्टर निकाय डॉक्टर निकाय, आपको जाना है. सो हम लोग उस समय बहुत गुस्सा होते थे कि इन्होंने हमें फंसा दिया. मगर we learned from that, so we did autopsies also, and we did perinatal and neonatal autopsies also at that time. We used to go to the mortuary. अब वहाँ से shift हो गई है. So there is a Latin inscription in one autopsy room that puts it, "This is the place where death delights to serve the living." So the old adage that dead men tell no tales does not hold true as far as the medical profession is concerned. So dead men for centuries have been telling doctors the story of how they got sick and why they died. मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि आपको क्यूरियोसिटी होनी चाहिए कि कब हुआ, कहाँ हुआ, कैसे हुआ. वो अगर आज से आप एज स्टूडेंट्स नहीं करेंगे तो आगे मुश्किल होगा. So briefly, these three stalwarts. First one is, this was Margagli, who wrote a series of 700 autopsies, the seats and causes of disease, at the age of 78. So age is no bar in imparting knowledge. Then the third one, last one, is Dr. Rokitansky. He was a Viennese pathologist. He was next great autopsy pathologist. He did over 30,000 autopsies personally. So idea is that you can go into the history of pathology, how did it start. So I am taking only the autopsy part. Otherwise, history of medicine is very interesting and very imbibing. So he wrote a handbook of general pathology, anatomy in 1846. So middle of the 19th century, and he was 74. So middle one, Dr. Skoda was again a physician in the Viennese Medical College. And then he used to teach Viennese medical students on the wards and tried to make diagnosis on the patients who were still alive. आप देखिए कितना death rate रहा होगा. And in the afternoon, everybody went downstairs to see Dr. Rokitansky's autopsies on the dead patients to find out whether Dr. Skoda had been right or not. So जो उनके पास साधन थे उसमें करते थे, इतना advancement तो था नहीं, but still. So उनका पैशन आज हम उसके. Then this is the last one. I will not go into other details of history. Just to induce the students, postgraduates, to learn from the history. This is Rudolf Virchow. He was a tiny, almost a dwarf. He started as a junior autopsy pathologist. This is after the Rokitansky. For German government at University of Berlin, he used to cut diseased tissues with a razor and look at them using the latest technology. उनके लिए microscope was the latest technology at that time. और उस समय जब आया था तो पहले Leeuwenhoek का microscope था, फिर binoculars आए. So this was the enthusiasm and passion to work for the diseased patients. And Virchow was the first one to discover leukemia and myelin. So landmarks Dr. U.S. Singh has already shown, but I will tell you that first undergraduate batch came in 1913. That time this building was not here, the current building, and this was housed in Department of Physiology. And Department of Physiology, we did not have biochemistry at that time when we did MBBS. Biochemistry was taught as a part of physiology. 18. First diploma in 1948 and first blood bank of the country was here in KGMC in 1942. I remember these and I have taken up because I had the privilege to make a coffee table book of this institution which was released in, that has 100 years of history in that book. So the new building which is there now, Pathology Department, that was inaugurated in 1955 by Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Health Minister, Government of India, on December 3, 1955. Then there was no end. Department was upgraded in 1955 to Postgraduate Department of Pathology and Bacteriology by Government of India. And 1962 experimental pathology building was made, and this building, the current building which microbiology is using, the animal house, that was the building of experimental pathology. In 1962, creation of neuropathology unit was done. 1971, it was informal and leukemia registry. Dr. Yael Shrestha, when he came as a pool officer in ICMR registry. Dr. Malini will be doing that. So, electron microscopy unit was established in 1973. Then new block, जिसमें अभी neuropathology और वो सब है, that was added in 1974. And in 1975, cytology unit was created under Professor P.K. Agarwal and Rahal Saab. In 1978, immunopathology and hepatorenal registry were established, and this was the year when I joined as a first-year demonstrator in the department. So journey has been long. In 1987, the Department of Pathology was bifurcated into Department of Pathology and Microbiology. So at that time, the staff who were working in pathology remained in pathology, and the staff who were working in bacteriology remained in microbiology. Virology lab was in the basement, and that was a part of the microbiology department. So I will not go into details of further details, but in 2008, we got the fund from government, and renovation, strengthening and upgradation of the histopathology and cytology labs with establishment of molecular pathology unit was done as early as in 2008. And lot of equipment, including flow cytometer, had come. Now they have been. But I was just show that Professor R.L. Mehrotra, why we were so fond of him, he had the longest tenure of HOD in the department from 1965 to 1983. When I joined the department, he was head, but he was going to soon retire. Other heads, Professor Dinkar Chandra, again was a gem of a person, and हम लोगों ने उनसे इतना सीखा कि उसका हम बता नहीं सकते. प्रोफेसर पीना साहब वाज अ जेंटलमैन और बिल्कुल किसी को कभी उन्होंने डांटा नहीं. फिर डॉक्टर एमआरएस कुशवाहा लिम्फोमा ल्यूकेमिया रजिस्ट्री देखते थे. प्रोफेसर राज मल्होत्रा वाज इन चार्ज ऑफ द हेपेटोरेनल रजिस्ट्री एज वेल एज he was HOD as well as Dean. And Dr. US has said, Department of Pathology has given maximum deans to the institution. That is correct. So Professor Ashutosh Kumar, as I told you, was my class fellow, batchmate, and we used to sometimes fight, argue, but कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि हम एक दूसरे की शक्ल न देखें. और जब वो खाने की बात करते थे तो हम कहते थे हम अमिता को फोन करने जा रहे हैं, आप बहुत ज्यादा मिठाई खा रहे हैं. और डॉक्टर साहब उसके बाद के गवाह हैं कि ये लोग चौक जा करके अपने यूएस सिंह भी जाते थे. तो बहुत मिठाई खाते थे, और हम जब वो मानते नहीं थे तो हम उनसे कहते थे कि हम डॉक्टर तो वो अपनी केटली ऑन करते थे चाय की और चाय बनाते थे, और फिर मालिनी जी का बनाया हुआ डिब्बा खोलते थे और हम उसमें से एक एक पराठा दोनों लोग खाते थे. Now, Dr. US Singh, I am grateful to you that you have invited me. This is homecoming. So I did diploma in clinical pathology in 1979. That time it was a combined department. Or there were three hard taskmasters that time: Professor K.M. Wahab, Professor Dinkar Chandra, and Professor U.C. Chaturvedi. Very tough examiners. And at that time, examination was very difficult. In fact, अभी नहीं है कि सर्विसेज से आए और डिप्लोमा को बस आपको देना है. वो that was almost equal to MD exam minus मगर नीचे आपके करेक्ट उस पर साइन कर देते थे. एमबीबीएस में भी वो यही करते थे और डिप्लोमा में भी उन्होंने ऐसे ही हेल्प किया. So he was a gallant person. बिल्कुल अंग्रेज दिखते थे. Very affectionate and a fatherly figure. And this was the time, क्योंकि वो इतने questions पूछते थे. So this was a time when I was interested in history and evolution of the department and evolution of pathology. So I used to search origin of every terminology. ये क्यों होता है? अगर आपने इसको स्कूल का है तो स्कूल का कहाँ से डेरिवेशन? Inculcated that habit of asking questions. So जिज्ञासा डायरी तो हम आज भी मेंटेन किए हुए हैं. आज भी अगर कोई नया शब्द देखते हैं तो हम उसको जरूर गूगल कर लेते हैं. उस समय इतना इंफॉर्मेशन था नहीं. भाई आपके पास ना तो इंटरनेट था ना मोबाइल फोन था, और इंटरनेट भी पेड था. जब 90s में इंटरनेट आया है तो दैट वाज USA.net. तो उसका भी पेमेंट होता था, अच्छा बिल होता था, पैसे होते नहीं थे. फिर यहाँ पे आए तो सत्यम, उसके बाद सत्यम आया, सिफी ब्रॉडबैंड, साइबर कैफे खुले इंटरनेट के लिए, तो हमें उसमें भी पेमेंट करना होता था घंटे का. लाइब्रेरी में भी जब डॉक्टर राज मल्होत्रा ने लगवाया जेरॉक्स मशीन खुली. जब हमने MD किया है तो लखनऊ भर में केवल एक फोटोकॉपियर था, और वो भी मित्तल फोटोस्टैट करके अमीनाबाद के रास्ते में पड़ता था, गोइन रोड के आगे. तो केवल आउट ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी हम उसे देखने गए. बिल्कुल जितना बड़ा ये डायस है उतनी बड़ी मशीन थी, और अंदर कोई दाना सा होता था, उसको कुछ हिलाता था और उसके ऊपर वो प्रिंट आता था. सो दैट वाज द टाइम जो हम लोगों ने देखा. और यहाँ मिस्टर नकी थे लाइब्रेरी में, उनसे सारी फोटो खिंचवाते थे. So MD thesis, since it was a combined department, I did my MD thesis in bacteriology under Professor Agarwal, S.K. Agarwal sir, and that was on R. plasmids and urinary ephori. So imagine from bacteriology to histopathology. So pathology makes you learn that every disease has a story to tell, and our job is to listen and interpret the narrative. What, when, how and why. And what will be done next. ये मैंने पॉइंट इसलिए रखा है कि जब हम रिपोर्ट रिलीज करते हैं तो रिपोर्ट हम सजेस्टिव ऑफ और पॉसिबिलिटी कैन नॉट बी रूल्ड आउट. सो आई एम अ बिट स्केप्टिकल ऑफ दिस रिपोर्ट. यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट वट एवर यू आर राइटिंग, what will be the implication for the clinician and for the patient treatment part. So आपको ये पता होना चाहिए आप जो भी एंटिटी लिख रहे हैं उसका अल्टीमेटली इफेक्ट क्या होगा पेशेंट के ऊपर. तो आप सर्जन से बात करिए, क्लिनिशियन से बात करिए, उनसे पूछिए कि इसका आपका क्या क्लिनिकल डायग्नोसिस है और हम इसमें आगे क्या कर सकते हैं. सर लेक्चरर उस समय ये असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर, ये सब डेजिग्नेशंस नहीं थे. 1983 में आए और उस समय फिर वही HOD के पास गए. उन्होंने कहा बेटी तुम वहां चली जाओ बैक्टीरियोलॉजी में. सो माय लास्ट डोमेन वाज बैक्टीरियोलॉजी. सो आई टॉट माइक्रोबायोलॉजी इन कंबाइंड डिपार्टमेंट फॉर 7 years. तो उस समय जितनी थीसिस सुपरवाइज की, प्रोजेक्ट में काम किया, दैट वाज ऑल इन माइक्रोबायोलॉजी. And Dr. Nusrat came at that time in, I think in 87 or 88 as research fellow under Dr. S.K. Agarwal's scheme. So, bifurcation to hua, then I continued in microbiology. In 1990, I shifted to the parent department and started cytopathology and histopathology under the mentorship of Professor Padam Agarwal. उस समय वाल साहब भी थे. नहीं, I think वाल साहब had retired. Professor Pramod Nath Sahab there, he was in charge of electron microscopy, and Professor A.N. Shrivastava. तो मैडम से तो बहुत डर लगता था, तो जो पूछने जाते थे वो डॉक्टर A.N. Shrivastava से ही पूछने जाते थे. सॉरी मैडम, यू आर देयर, बट हम लोग बहुत डरते थे मैडम से. And by that time, Dr. Rakesh Pandey had left, and he had joined SGPGI. But Manoj is here. Manoj, you were here, not here in the faculty. You were as a MD student? Yeah. So others like Professor Chaturvedi, Dr. Asha Mathur, Dr. Kapoor, they were all in microbiology. And I remember Dr. Manisha Bagchi, उसने लिया था. Hematology I was taught by Dr. Manisha Bagchi. So last 36 years were most productive as faculty, full of learning experiences, some good, some not so good. made me stronger every day and kept me motivated. Academics, I told you, from lecturer to HOD for a very short time because we were classmates. Administrative, I have done a lot of things, done or I was made to do it. So in 1993, for the first time, Dr. P.K. Mishra had called me to be the in charge of the purchase section. मेरा कहने का मतलब ये कि इतने सारे हमने जो भी काम किए, उसमें ऐसा तो है नहीं कि बाधाएं नहीं आएंगी, प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं आएंगी, but you have to move forward. Mistakes, failures, insult, frustration and rejections, ये सब होते हैं. So they are part of progress and growth. So if you take it positively, nobody has ever achieved anything worthwhile without facing these 5 things, including me or you. So these 5 things, this should not be deterrent to your progress. अगर आपकी will है तो आप करेंगे. तो मैं I will finish the academic part, then I will go to the pathology part. So learning from my association with administration, मैं क्यों कह रही हूँ ये? क्योंकि होता ये कि जब आपको बुलाते हैं, लो अब ये भी काम पकड़ा दिया. So this should not be the attitude. So worked with principal to vice chancellor since 1993 till 2019. And I never looked back. जिसने जो कहा, फिर मैं बता दूं कि उसके बावजूद जिन्होंने मुझे रूटीन दिखाया है, I never left the job of my department. I never left the subject. That is most important. उन्होंने जब मुझे बुलाया, तो हम तो थोड़े आइडियल किस्म के थे, जो चीज पसंद नहीं आती थी उसको मना कर देते थे. तो डॉक्टर पीके अग्रवाल ने मुझसे, पीके मिश्रा ने मुझसे कहा, मधुमती, माय फादर यूज्ड टू से आइडियल इज एनिमी ऑफ गुड. तो कुछ गुड कर लो, आइडियलिज्म की जरूरत नहीं है. उस समय तो मुझे लगता था पता नहीं क्या कह रही है, बट नाउ आई रिमेम्बर द लेसन दैट यू शुड बी अ परफॉर्मर. You can be a little less than perfection. So, unknowingly mentoring by our guru sometimes sets our mindset, changes your attitude. कि भाई ठीक है, कुछ नहीं हो रहा तो कुछ तो हो रहा है, तो हम करते रहें. तो डॉक्टर पीके मिश्रा के बाद डॉक्टर रमेश चंद्रा साहब प्रिंसिपल हुए, डॉक्टर KM सिंह हुए. रमेश चंद्रा साहब क्योंकि मैडम थी तो ही वॉज वेरी अफेक्शनेट. इसलिए नहीं कि मैडम थी, बट वो हम लोगों का ख्याल रखती थी, मैडम से रखते थे, मैडम से ज्यादा. 1985 में जब मैडम ने पहली कॉन्फ्रेंस यहाँ नेशनल कराई थी, इंडियन एकेडमी ऑफ साइटोलॉजी की, तो आई वॉज सिटिंग लाइक द यंग फैकल्टी एंड द रेजिडेंट्स ऑन द रजिस्ट्रेशन काउंटर. आई वॉज 2 years old फैकल्टी इन द डिपार्टमेंट. एंड करीब 2:30 पे हम रजिस्ट्रेशन वगैरह सब निपटा चुके थे, तो रमेश चंद्रा साहब आए, बोले 3 लोग थे हम, तुम लोगों ने कुछ खाया? अब हम लोग ऐसे, हमने कहा सर खा लेंगे. वो कुछ नहीं बोले, गए, जाकर के थोड़ी देर बाद आए और राधेलाल से कुछ लेकर के बैग में चले आए, लो पहले खाओ. सो such वर आवर टीचर्स. डॉक्टर KM सिंह प्रिंसिपल भी रहे, थोड़े दिन वाइस चांसलर भी रहे. मैक्सिमम आई लर्न इन दिस डिपार्टमेंट, इन दिस एकेडमिक ब्लॉक, administrative block from Dr. Mahendra Bhandari. This picture is of Dr. Mahendra Bhandari. He brought me to the library. और वही जैसे आपको होता है कि लाइब्रेरी ये कैसे होगा, हमें तो कुछ नहीं आता, करके देखो, तो ऐसा था. Second, Dr. Hari Gautam. Though he stayed only for 1 year, but maximum I learned from him. हम कहते थे सर चिट्ठी भेज दी, चिट्ठी नहीं लिखने से काम नहीं होते हैं, काम कराने पड़ते हैं. सो दैट वाज आई लर्न फ्रॉम हिम. बाकी तो डॉक्टर चूड़ामणि, उनके टाइम में बहुत, उन्होंने जब हमारे को ग्रांट मिली थी पैथोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट में, तो हमारे पास रेनोवेशन के लिए पैसा नहीं था. हम गए, हमने उन्हें 50 लाख का प्रोजेक्ट बना के दिया. बोले 50 तो नहीं है, हम तुम्हें 35 दे देते हैं. सो शी गेव अस 35 lakhs to get the renovation of histopathology, cytology and all labs. So if you remember, I think Preeti and Mala will remember that we had shifted histopathology lab to the old hematology section where now electron microscopy is there. So it took 6 months to get the construction done. So library has been very close to my heart. And I've been honorary librarian from 2005 to 2014 with the blessings of 3 vice chancellors, Dr. Bhandari, who brought me there, but then he was going out, Professor Hari Gautam and Dr. Chudamani. So, and we could do the complete change of the face of the library, which the library you are seeing was renovated at that time. With the teamwork of the library staff led by Mr. Sumiran Pal, Deputy Librarian, because I was not from library sciences. So the help was being extended by Mr. Sumiran Pal. These are some glimpses of the first phase of renovation. You can see 1 or 2 of you can recognize your face here. You can see in the lower picture, Preeti is waving. So Preeti is here. So this is Justice Pradeep Kant, who got the inauguration done. This was done way back in 2008, August 2008. Then second phase of renovation, it was inaugurated by Shri Lalji Verma. He was there, medical. In the second phase of. So this is the library which you are seeing. So the top picture on the left is the foyer of the library once you enter into the library, and this is a memory pillar. When it was made, it was put in the foyer of this VC office, but later on Professor D.K. Gupta, the next Vice Chancellor, he said कि आप इसे library ले जाइए. So I was very happy कि library ले जाते हैं because इसमें बहुत labor थी और इसमें this has 100 sheets, and if you go and see all the students, each पल्ला जो पटरा उसका है उसमें 2 साइड्स हैं. दोनों साइड्स में आपको सबके नाम मिलेंगे. अब I don't know whether the library, current librarian has updated or not, but and the idea was given by Dr. Chudamani. She had seen similar pillar in anatomy museum upstairs. वो छोटा था, उसमें 5 वो थे. She liked it. She said कि ऐसे हो जाएगा ये, हमने कोशिश कर सकते हैं. तो कहने का मतलब ये कि अगर आप किसी चीज के पीछे पड़ जाएं तो आप कर तो लेंगे ही. तो एक कारपेंटर पकड़ा गया. जब रेनोवेशन हो रहा था, हरि गौतम साहब से कहा तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमने कहा सर ये सरकारी लोग तो इस तरह का काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. आप जो ये नीचे पिलर्स देख रहे हैं, बीच में सरस्वती की प्रतिमा देख रहे हैं, ये जो इससे कोई नए नहीं बने हैं, पुराने जो कैबिनेट थे उन्हीं को काट करके इसको सो दैट इट कैन मेंटेन द लेगेसी एंड द आर्किटेक्चरल ऑफ द लाइब्रेरी. जो राइट साइड में आप पिक्चर देख रहे हैं, जो अभी एग्जामिनेशन हॉल है, when we joined as MBBS student, this was the central library. If you see the woodwork, this is walnut roof, and as a student I read in this library. So this library, current library, was established in 1978. So as MBBS student हम लोग ये ऊपर जाते थे और इस हॉल में, this was a central library. So some glimpses. On the left, you can see Dr. Hari Gautam and then Governor Dr. C.V. Rajeshwar. And I have particularly taken this picture because I never imagined that I will be working in the establishment by Dr. Trehan. So on the right is Dr. Trehan with the Governor and Professor Hari Gautam, then Vice Chancellor. And the next picture is when Hamid Ansari Sahab had come as Vice President. So this is convocation. And this is the bottom picture is at the time of release of profitable book by Honorable Governor Shri Ram Naik ji, and this is with the Times of India team. This is last few years back. This was on Teachers' Day, और स्वामी विवेकानंद कहते हैं कि when we think that we know, we cease to learn. Dr. Mansoor Hassan Saab was here. Dr. Hari Gautam had come as a chief guest, and Mansoor Hassan Saab was guest of honor. And it was amazing Teachers' Day celebration. So this institution has maintained its tradition of maintaining or doing the functions like this. I will be failing in my duties if I don't acknowledge Dr. M.C. Pant. He was 2 years junior to me, but whatever development or the history under the guidance of Professor Bhandari, M.C. Pant was the person who created history. He made the memoirs of the institution on International Georgian meet, I think in 2011 somewhere. I don't remember the year. But and the top picture is the दीवारों में वो सारे मेमोयर्स लगे हैं. फिर जब ये व्हाइट हॉल का रेनोवेशन हुआ तो ये उठा करके सब यहाँ रख दिए गए. उसके बाद अब पता नहीं वो कहाँ गए. बट इट वाज द हार्ड वर्क ऑफ डॉक्टर एमसी पंत who created history in the institution. Ironically, a person who dedicated his life for the cause of cancer passed away young, fighting himself with cancer. और एमसी पंत ने अपनी मेमोइर्स में लिखा है, उससे पूछा भी कि क्या जॉर्जियन, so he says he defined Georgian. It's a philosophy, also a way of life. It conveys a sense of togetherness, a sense of mutual respect and affection, and a sense of commitment and loyalty towards the alma mater. So that is how MC Pant was. मेरी बहुत बहुत विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि उनको. I've been also Dean Nursing for 2.5 years, and I'm happy because when I was told, I thought कि nursing, हमें तो nursing का end ही नहीं पता है. तो फिर भी I took it as a challenge, and I'm happy that I could put my efforts in bringing the funds and faculty from NHM. So this finishes with in short with the journey in the administrative block. So during my journey in pathology, I have witnessed enormous development of the college, also spectacular during last 2 decades after the transformation of college into the university in the year 2002. Because पहले funds नहीं होते थे. यूनिवर्सिटी में आने के बाद यहाँ पे इतने फंड्स मिले कि अब आपको संभालने की मुश्किल होती है कि क्या करें इसका. Am I right, yes? खर्चा करने में दिक्कत होती है. So evolution of Department of Pathology, morphology to molecular diagnosis. I will not go into academic details. I'm just touching it, and then so we started with morphology by FNAC, followed by histopathology with some routine histochemistry as a sole diagnostic modality. जब हम आए थे MD कर रहे थे तो कोई ना immunohistochemistry थी, ना बहुत ज्यादा स्पेशल स्टेन्स थे, हिस्टोकेमिस्ट्री थे, और कुछ स्टेन्स जो हैं वो डॉक्टर राकेश पांडे अपने हाथ से बनाते थे. So autopsy was also done at that time, and the earliest workshop on immunocytochemistry was held in 1985 under Professor Padam Agarwal, which was initiated by Dr. Sandeep Kumar, who had come back after PhD from Cardiff, and he had invited Dr. Bharat Jasani. So, stimulated by that, Madam got a project, and Dr. Sarita Tandon did the first immunocytochemistry in the room where now the multi-head and immunohistochemistry is there. So, after a decade, we started immunohistochemistry. That was in 1999. Inspiration came from, I attended a workshop in TMH. This was a workshop on lymphoid neoplasia, and it was a 10 days workshop. And it was amazing. Dr. Bharat Nathwani was there, and Dr. Borges and all, you all know. We did first TB PCR in 1999 in FNA lymph nodes with the help of Dr. T.N. Dhol of SGPGI, and there was a student, Vivek Ranjan. It was his thesis, and I told him, तो Dr. Dhol ने कहा कि हम संडे को लगा सकते हैं, तो हमने विवेक से पूछा कि तुम संडे को जा सकते हो? He said कि हाँ मैं चला जाऊंगा. तो Dr. Vivek used to take his samples to Dr. T.N. Dhol, and then he used to do PCR on his samples on lymph node FNAC. Thereafter, we did 4 consecutive theses on tuberculosis, lymph node FNA. Later on, Dr. Amita Jain had acquired thermal cycler. So we did it with Dr. Anita Jain and Dr. Vanna Tiwari, who is now current head of biochemistry at RML IMS. So DNA extraction, कोई एक्सट्रैक्टर नहीं थे, कोई ऑटोमेटेड इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स नहीं थे, जो वहां से सीख के आए थे वो लिख के दे दिया, तो जो स्टूडेंट होता था वो उसको डीएनए एक्सट्रैक्शन कर लेता था, इथेनॉल क्लोरोफॉर्म एक्सट्रैक्शन मैनुअली इन द लैब, जो इम्यूनोहिस्टोकेमिस्ट्री लैब है. देन ही यूज्ड टू टेक द प्रोडक्ट टू डॉक्टर ढोल. आफ्टर इनोवेशन, और जब हमारे पास सारा मॉलिक्यूलर टेक्निक्स के लिए सारा सिस्टम आ गए, फिर हमने इनिशियली तो लिमिटेड रिसर्च थी क्योंकि पैसा नहीं होता था और रूटीन में स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ था. सो फर्स्ट पब्लिकेशन, हम अपनी सारी चीजें नहीं दिखा रहे, बस बता रहे हैं कि जब कोई हम चीज पहला काम करते हैं तो कितनी खुशी होती है. सो 99 में पीसीआर किया और पहला पब्लिकेशन एक्टा साइटोलॉजिका में आया. दैट वाज polymerase chain reaction versus conventional diagnosis in fine needle aspirates of tuberculosis lymph node. And when we started the work in 1999, there were only 2 references in the world literature, world English literature on PCR on lymph node, and those were Korean references. So now molecular testing on cytological material is established and sometimes a preferred sample also. The first immunohistochemistry publication was done by Dr. Sanjeev Mishra, and I had seen P53 IC there in Bombay with Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, a technician there that time, and he was an excellent technician. He used to speak fluent English. We were quite impressed by him. He has written a book on technologies also. So, the overexpression of P53 in gallbladder carcinoma in North India was our first publication in immunohistochemistry. So, encouraged by the results of the first research project of around 5 lakhs was sanctioned by UPCST with 1 JRF and contingency for 3 years from 2002 to 2005, and it was entitled, क्योंकि अभी उस समय तो हमें हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी तो याद नहीं थी बहुत, उसमें भी मुझे डॉक्टर राकेश पांडे ने हेल्प किया हाउ टू रिवाइव दैट, बिकॉज मैं तो माइक्रोबायोलॉजी कर रही थी, तो अभी फोकस माइक्रोबायोलॉजी पे ही था यहाँ आने के बाद भी. सो इट वाज मॉलिक्यूलर डिटेक्शन ऑफ माइक्रोबैक्टीरियम ऑफ माइक्रोबैक्टीरियल डीएनए from fine needle aspirates and tissue specimens of extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Specimen वही देखा कि जो हमारे पास आसानी से आता, क्योंकि lymph node aspiration के लिए आते थे मरीज तो उनसे कर लेते थे, with special reference to tuberculous lymphadenitis. और ये दिमाग में कैसे आया कि हमने देखा कि जब हमने यहाँ ज्वाइन किया तो every year one or the other student got tuberculosis. Fine needle aspirate करते थे, पता चला TB है. I will not name the students, but we have seen that our students got tuberculosis here in the hospital. For this, there is a story behind it. How did I get this? I'm grateful to Dr. Nityanand. वैसे यूजली क्या होता था, आपने प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट किया और वो आपके जो रिव्यूअर्स हैं उनके पास जाता था, उसके बाद मीटिंग में तय हो जाता था. उस बार यूपीसीएसटी के जो सेक्रेटरी थे वो मिस्टर नवनीत सहगल थे, आपने नाम सुना होगा. He was a senior IS. He is a senior IS. So उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, जो भी PIs हैं, प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स हैं, वो अपनी प्रोजेक्ट प्रेजेंट करेंगे. So मरता क्या नहीं करता, हम भी गए और वहां प्रेजेंट किया. तो उन्होंने सवाल पूछने शुरू किए. बोले मेरे यहाँ लिम्फ नोड था, ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ. तो मैंने कहा सर तभी तो हम कह रहे हैं कि अभी एक भी, you name one diagnostic test which will say that you have tuberculosis. So that is why क्योंकि उस समय मॉलिक्यूलर तो कोई सोचता नहीं था, फिर यहाँ नहीं सोचते. तो डॉक्टर नित्यानंद मैं नहीं पहचानती थी उस समय, ही वॉज देयर. सो उन्होंने कहा कि दैट इज हाउ माई प्रोजेक्ट वॉज सैंक्शन. हम तो बिल्कुल ही जैसे कहते हैं ना नौसिखिए किस्म के थे, कुछ नहीं पता था कहाँ किससे क्या बात करनी है, बस अपनी बात कहनी है, ये था. So after that we did number of molecular and IC projects on oral, cervical, pre-cancer and cancer, PhD thesis, breast and endometrial cancer, and subsequently n number of publications, MD and PhD thesis. I will not know. So what I wish to convey, thinking is easy, acting is difficult. सोचते तो हम बहुत कुछ हैं, पर कर पाते हैं या नहीं कर पाते हैं ये. And to put one's thought into action is the most difficult thing in the world. तो सोचो फिर उसे करो भी. हम लोग जब बच्चे थे तो हमारे घर में एक मैगजीन आती थी, उसका नाम था कल्याण, शाहजहानपुर से निकलती थी, मुमुक्षु आश्रम से. उसमें लास्ट में एक चैप्टर होता था, पढ़ो समझो और करो, रीड अंडरस्टैंड एंड डू। हम समझते हैं वो एक्ट आज के लिए भी है, और हम अपने ग्रैंडफादर को स्टोरी उसमें से पढ़ के सुनाते थे। तो वो संस्मरण जो थे वो बहुत मोटिवेटिंग और इंस्पायरिंग थे। सो रीड गुड लिटरेचर, think of some mentor and follow success stories and go forward. So these are glimpses of first UP chapter of cytology we did in 2013, and first Surat Kumari Lal Oration was delivered by Madam P.K. Agarwal, and you can see, you can recognize Dr. Ashutosh is there, Dr. N. Srivastav is here. Unfortunately, we have lost them. Rashmi, you can recognize yourself here. Rashmi did MD with me. These are some memories of the early days as faculty. Here in the blue sari, this is me. If you can see, this is Shelja. सीमा गुप्ता, सीमा भट्ट होती थी, पीछे चित्रा छावड़ा दिख रही है, और इधर जो है इस साइड में मैडम के साथ में मनोज है, मेरे बगल में डॉक्टर कुसुम कपिला दिख रही है, और जो द टॉल जेंटलमैन इन स्पेक्स इज डॉक्टर अरुण चिताले, जो इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी करते थे। उस समय इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी कहीं नहीं थी यहाँ के सिवा, सो ही हैड कम एज अ गेस्ट, एंड वो कहते थे कि मैं आई विल डू इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी इन ₹500, and people used to send the samples to him. You can see young Dr. N. Srivastav, young Dr. Ashutosh Kumar Pandey, and US handsome one. So I've just, taken you back to the memories. So Digital Pathology Lab was created in the old hepatorenal registry. Hepatorenal registry was first in the basement when we joined. And me, Dr. Rakesh Pandey and Dr. Ashutosh Kumar, all of us have done postdoctoral fellowship with Dr. Raj Mehrotra after MD. So from basement it came upstairs. पीछे लाइब्रेरी के पीछे एक डक हाउस था जहाँ पे उनकी डक्स थी. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन, बट देन दैट hepatorenal registry was converted into the current digital pathology lab. So digital pathology lab, keeping in mind the digital revolution with challenges of artificial intelligence, that is the fourth revolution in anatomic pathology, from body to omics, from morphology to omics. So evolving technologies, I will not go in details, but I wish to emphasize, जब हम कोई चीज नई करते हैं तो कोई मानता नहीं है उसको. So when a thing was new, people said it is not true. This is a quote from William James. When the truth became obvious, people said it is not important. When it's important could not be denied, people said, anyway, what is new in it? So this I have taken from Dr. Sanchita Rai Chaudhary's presentation. She describes, this was a presentation made in European Congress in 2016. So she describes the evolving role of cytopathologist in molecular testing in the era of targeted and personalized therapy. And cytological samples and blocks are increasingly common for molecular testing. This includes cell blocks and LBC samples. Small specimens are not necessarily an obstacle. Challenges are there, doing more with less material, limited sample, targeted therapy and evaluation of multiple markers in small specimens you have to do. But you can achieve it if you see the pre-analytical variables. So this is, those who are interested, you can download this. This is available on net. So she describes all these cytology procedures in this NGS talk. Then I will not touch much on that because Dr. Bandana Mehrotra will be talking on that, digital transformation and AI, and you will see the AI power combining imaging and pathology. So you have to look into the present of the AI and the future of the AI. This I have taken from Roche presentation. So, 21st, now you are in 21st century, 21st century pathology, morphology to molecular to digital to AI, what next? So this you have to see and you have to think. So think and think what will be the next. The subject of pathology, has been in evolution for over 2000 years, and there has been enormous progress with the waves of intellectual and technical advancements. The complex diagnosis as we went into the history are founded on years of collective experience and an element of subjectivity. So IC, as you know, has already established its role in histopathological taxonomy of the disease, with disease-specific patterns of immunohistochemical expression, now a standard component of pathologist diagnostic acumen. So this is in contrast with the molecular diagnostic methods. आपने अभी तक तो आप माइक्रोस्कोप में देख रहे हैं, आपको सब दिख रहा है. This is in contrast with the molecular diagnostic methods, which are heavily technology-driven and produce objective and quantitative data. Still, you need the background data of morphology. So immunohistochemistry sits somewhere between the two, morphology and molecular. So while IC has been adopted in routine practice and pathology training in many institutions, traditional morphological pathology and new molecular pathology laboratories exist in parallel with little interaction. What we require is the interaction between and coordination between the molecular laboratory and the pathology laboratory. So we need integration in two ways, diagnostic and therapeutic. Diagnostic तो अभी आप देख रहे हैं, सारे जो current classifications आ गए हैं उसमें आपको दिख रहा है, especially hemato-oncology, Manish will be talking about it, कि आपकी रिपोर्ट इंटीग्रेटेड होती है जिसमें आपकी क्लोनैलिटी भी लिखी होती है, आपकी डायग्नोसिस भी लिखी होती है. So you have to provide a clear diagnostic certainty. That is what you have to do now in histopathology, because you might have seen the current WHO classifications where now they are talking of the molecular profile of all the tumors. Then another thing, important thing is therapeutic integration, which will inform the therapeutic decision. अब आप देखिए, आपके पास सारे लोग आते हैं और सारे लोग जो है वो ये पूछते हैं कि आप इसमें कौन सा टारगेटेड थेरेपी या पर्सनलाइज्ड थेरेपी में कौन सा मार्कर करें. आपके पास PD-L1 आते हैं, MSI आता है. So that requires understanding of technologies that generated the results, judgment as to whether a specific test is technically satisfactory. So a lot of things are required, and then knowledge to manage increasingly complex data. Bioinformatics and AI, of course, will come into that. And understanding of the clinical relevance of the test. ऐसा नहीं आपने कह दिया MGS करा लो, अब उसके बाद जब रिजल्ट्स आएंगे तो आपको करना क्या ये भी तो पता होना चाहिए. So this will need to be managed by pathologists, understanding a large variety of technical aspects. क्योंकि आपको पता है, you know the basis of the disease, ranging from traditional histopathology to specific work of formalin-fixed, paraffin-embedded based DNA and RNA testing and detection of standard of care mutations. So need to change. Why? Resistance to change will lead to molecular testing of surgical pathology samples by others, moving the central role of tissue-based diagnosis out of the field of pathology, resulting in poor outcome for the patient. So, morphological and the molecular knowledge required to be integrated through a teamwork. आप अकेले नहीं कर सकते. आप जो है क्लिनिकल साइंटिस्ट हैं, पैथोलॉजी देखते हैं, तो यू रिक्वायर इंटीग्रेशन विद मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी faculties through a teamwork. Otherwise, it will be fragmented into different specialties with the lack of coordinated interpretation. So, strategic position जो आपकी अभी है of our discipline at the center of clinical practice may be long, reducing the importance of histopathology as a clinical specialty. I have taken it from some references. So drastic change in the field is a necessity. Combining and integrating pathology, radiomics, genomics with the help of AI to better inform patient care. So with molecular diagnosis threatening to overrule the histopathological diagnosis with every new discovery, it is time for the traditional histopathologists to embrace and incorporate the recent advancements in practicing pathology in its present modern context to keep pace with the ever-expanding frontiers of science and technology. So it is high time we embrace the change. We have to do now what the patient needs next. Be the bridge between the lab and the clinical practice from morphomolecular pathologist with natural intelligence. We all have natural intelligence supported by digitization and artificial intelligence. I wish to convey that artificial intelligence should not replace the natural intelligence. There is a frequently asked question, this I have picked up from Harry Adams, Royal College of Pathologists, 2020. Could pathologists would be replaced by robots? The answer is AI won't replace the pathologists, so don't worry. But pathologists who use AI will replace the pathologists who don't. So need of the hour is, this requires a drastic change in the training curriculum, both at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, in a big way by all stakeholders and policymakers. Integration of technology at all levels, medical education from the first year MBBS till post graduation. अब मॉड्यूल्स बना सकते हैं, ट्रेनिंग कोर्सेज के लिए बाहर भेज सकते हैं, बट इट इज अ नीड ऑफ द आवर. सो यू हैव टू इनकलकेट दैट इन एजुकेशन, curriculum, training modules, patient care, clinical practice. So this is a lifelong learning to embrace the change. So idea of telling all this to you, especially the young budding pathologists, is that keep your curiosity alive, strive for excellence, find ways to achieve the goal. Remain optimistic. You will achieve what you want if you have the will to do so. Focus your energies. And the strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from the indomitable will. I learned this from Dr. Bhandari. I have put pathology into many words. तब आप कहेंगे कि साहब this was our providence, but you should not. A for accept, you should aspire, you should be ace, excellent. You should acknowledge. आपके लिए अगर कोई छोटा सा भी काम करता है ना, you say thank you for that. Even the lowest rung of ladder. And then you should be authentic. So A for authenticity. Be proactive. No place for procrastination. So I have not taken negative words except one or two in some places. T is teamwork. You should be truthful to yourself and to the community. You should be a good teacher. You should have a tender heart. You should feel for the patient. And then you should mind the timeline, turn around time. और thinking के बिना तो कुछ होता नहीं, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा. So you should be thoughtful and thinking, and you should be caring about the patient, because ultimately beneficiary whatever you do is the patient. H for history, we have already done. Your hard work, honesty, and of course if you are not happy you will not be able to do anything. O, optimistic, and your observation. Pathology तो without observation चलती नहीं है. L, leader. Be the leader in your group. जरूरी नहीं कि आप ये सोचें कि बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं हम भी वैसे ही करते हैं. You may be a bit unconventional and you can be the leader and you can lead the group. Lifelong learner. हम आज भी पढ़ते हैं. पहले मोटी मोटी किताबें देखनी पड़ती थी. अब क्या है कि एक जैसे कहा था ना कि दुनिया मुट्ठी में है, तो सारी बुक्स आईपैड पे हैं, तो आप उसको देख सकते हो. और अब क्या है कि हम अपने जूनियर्स से लेते हैं. यहाँ श्वेता बैठी हैं, बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनसे कि हमने सारी के सारी बुक्स डाउनलोड की हैं अपने आईपैड पे, सो दैट आई कैन बी अपडेटेड. सो यू हैव टू रिमेन अपडेटेड. और हमसे ज्यादा टेक्निक्स है हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, दैट यू हैव टू एक्सेप्ट. एंड यू हैव टू हैव अ लॉन्गिंग फॉर द प्रोफेशन, फॉर द सब्जेक्ट. O स्टैंड फॉर ओरिजिन. वो तो आप ढूंढते ही हो कि कहां से आया. You should have ownership and you should owe your achievements to the people who have given you that opportunity to do. G for genesis, gratitude and growth. And Y is yearning. Longing or yearning is the same thing. And if you don't yearn, then you can yell or you can yawn. That is your choice. So there is no shortcut to hard work. Mistakes are painful when they happen, but years later a connection of mistakes called experience leads us to success. Or hard work is like stairs, as you are saying in this quote, and luck is like a lift. Sometimes the lift may fall, but stairs will always be taking you to the top. So hard work is like a staircase. I've picked up few quotations. Problems are common, but attitude makes the difference. This is from APJ Kalam साहब. वो कहते हैं कि all birds find shelter during a rain, but eagles avoid rain by flying above the clouds. So problems are common, but attitude makes the difference. And potential within you is greater than the obstacles around you. So try your potential, don't be disheartened, don't be depressed. So take home message for students. I'll be finishing with last 2 or 3 slides. Understand and take up the challenges of a specialty that is constantly changing with time. Be responsible towards the society you are going to serve and keep moving on a righteous path. William Osler says, as is your pathology, so is your medicine. So take home message for teachers. The value of experience is not in seeing much, but is seeing wisely. See, concepts and focus of education have changed. हम लोग की जो डायरेक्टिक टीचिंग थी, हम आते थे, हमारे पास तो बुक्स नहीं होती थी, हम तो आरएमएल साहब के नोट्स रट लेते थे, एग्जाम दे आते थे. Now the things have changed. Teaching has evolved to evidence-based medical education technology with web-based digital technology in the air-conditioned lecture halls in the comfort of your room. स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक हो गई है एजुकेशन, फैसिलिटेटिव है, कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड है. स्टूडेंट्स आर ऑफ द न्यूअर टेक सेवी जनरेशन वेयर रीडिंग मटेरियल कैन बी फाउंड ऑन द नेट. So you are not required to take a lecture otherwise. So we the teachers have to attract students to share our knowledge with them, which cannot be found on the internet. You share your experience, so which cannot be found on the internet or without the patients. So you have to change your style of communication with the students. So these things change with time and become things of the past. So keep moving, keep moving. एक महर्षि अत्रेय की सूक्ति है, ये तो मैंने आशीना नायक जी ने चरैवेती जो बुक लिखी है उससे मिल लिया है, मगर उसमें उसकी जो स्टोरी है उसके पीछे वो ये है कि एक बार जो इंद्र देवता है वो एक किसी राजा को उसकी उन्नति के लिए संदेश देने आए मानव रूप में धरती के ऊपर. तो उन्होंने कहा कि भाई चलते रहो चलते रहो. वो कहते हैं कि बैठे हुए व्यक्ति का भाग्य भी बैठ जाता है और खड़े हुए व्यक्ति का भाग्य कुछ कुछ चलता है, और जो बैठा रहता है वो या सोता है तो वो उसका भाग्य भी सो जाता है. सो इसलिए चलते हे मानव तुम चलते रहो, क्योंकि जो चलता रहेगा उसका भाग्य आगे बढ़ता रहेगा. फिर वो आगे कहते हैं उससे कि जैसे मधुमक्खियां घूम घूम कर शहद जमा करती हैं, पक्षी मीठे फल के लिए सदा भ्रमण करते हैं, सूरज कभी सोता नहीं इसीलिए वो वंदनीय है. तो आता है ए मानव चलते रहो. सो कीप मूविंग, थिंग्स चेंज विद टाइम बट डोंट स्टॉप. सो व्हील ऑफ टाइम, आई फिनिश. द चेंज इज द ओनली कांस्टेंट, एम्ब्रेस द चेंज विद ग्रेस. समय सब कुछ बदल देता है, जरूरत सिर्फ आपके सब्र की है. जीवन में क्या करना है ये आपको रामायण सिखाती है, जीवन में क्या नहीं करना है ये महाभारत सिखाती है, और जीवन कैसे जीना है ये गीता सिखाती है. सो लिव योर ड्रीम्स, क्रिएट योर डेस्टिनी. स्काई इज नॉट द लिमिट, योर माइंड इज. एक्सप्लोर, ड्रीम एंड डिस्कवर. सो आई एंड विद द कोट फ्रॉम स्वामी विवेकानंद. एनीथिंग दैट मेक्स यू वीक physically, intellectually and spiritually, reject it as poison. So I dedicate this to all those named and unnamed individuals who have contributed to my journey and the development of this department. Bhavpurn Shraddhanjali to all my faculty and staff who left us during the journey. Thank you. I think I have conveyed the message. Maybe that it has been a bit long. So thank you for patience and patiently listening to me. Thank you once again, Dr. US and the entire faculty.
मधु ने बहुत डिटेल में सब बता दिया है, कोई नहीं, आप लोगों मैं कुछ ज्यादा नहीं बोल रही, बहुत ज्यादा पेशिंग है। आई वांट जस्ट टू टेल यू कि जो ये साइकोलॉजी वाला बताया है, हाउ इट वाज स्टार्टेड इन 1973. My mentor, Professor Arumeta, asked me to start psychology in KGMU in 1973. At time I was lecturer. My son was 6 years and 2 years. And you go to Chandigarh to learn psychology and to establish psychology. So I went for 1 month, February, leaving my children at Lucknow. There, I learned psychology. When I came back, तो सब लैब ने कहा आप तो साइकोलॉजी बनेगी. अभी मैडम मैं हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी देखती थी, यहाँ हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी में मैंने फिर घर पे जाके कहा डॉक्टर साहब से, हमने कहा लोग कह रहे हैं कि आपको हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी हटा करके साइकोलॉजी में रख देंगे. तो फिर डॉक्टर साहब बोले तुम जाके के हेड साहब से बात करो. फिर मैं नहीं गई तो मैंने डॉक्टर साहब से बात की, हेड साहब से. मैंने कहा सर मैं साइकोलॉजी नहीं करना चाहती. बोले क्यों? हमने सब लोग कहे मेरे हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी हटा ली जाएगी और साइकोलॉजी बनाना ही जाएगा. बोले किसने कहा तुमसे? हमने सब डिपार्टमेंट में कह रहे. बोले नथिंग डू, यू गो अहेड. फिर 77-78 में मेरे को कॉमनवेल्थ फेलोशिप मिल गया 1 साल के लिए. लंदन जाना था. दोनों बच्चों को घर में छोड़ करके, एक 10 साल का था, एक 6 साल का, 4 साल का नहीं 6 साल का था. इन दोनों को छोड़ के ये 1 साल के लिए मैं वहां पे गई. मेरे हस्बैंड की हिम्मत है, उन्होंने कहा मैं संभाल लूंगा, तुम्हारे कैरियर का सवाल है, तुम जाओ. तो आई वेंट टू लंदन फॉर 1 year, लिविंग माई 2 children देयर. जब मैं लौट के आई तो वहां से मैंने एफएनएससी सीखा. जब मैं लौट के आई तो मैंने एफएनएससी करने के लिए कहा. तो यहाँ पे हमारे हस्बैंड बोले, तो वो ये प्लास्टिक सर्जरी में डॉक्टर ओरेशन ने बोले तुम हेड साहब से पूछो जाकर के सर्जरी में. उस टाइम डॉक्टर आरवी सिंह हेड थे, प्रिंसिपल भी थे, हेड भी थे. एंड उनसे सर मैं एफएनएससी. बोले ये क्या होता है? हमने इसे वो नीडल से थोड़ा सा स्प्रे निकाल के स्लाइड बना के आपको रिपोर्ट हम नेक्स्ट डे दे देंगे. बायोप्सी में ज्यादा टाइम लगता है. बोले जब बायोप्सी भेजते हैं तो तुम लोग इनएडिक्वेट रिपोर्ट भेज देते हो और तुम यार तुम फ्लूइड निकाल के स्लाइड बना दोगी. दौड़ा लिया मुझको. हमें घर आई वहां से निराश कि एफएनएससी तो करने को मिलेगा नहीं. फिर मैंने डॉक्टर से कहा, हमने कहा क्या करें, आरवी सिंह साहब ने तो ऐसे कह दिया. बोले नथिंग डूइंग, अब उनको पता लग गया ना तुम्हें नई टेक्निक शुरू करने जा रही हो, अब तो अपने साथी लोगों से बात करो. तो जो मेरे कुलीग थे सर्जरी में, डॉक्टर वागलू थे, डॉक्टर टीसी गोयल, डॉक्टर सब लोग गाइड में थी मेरे साथी, सब उन लोगों से मैंने बात किया. उन्होंने कहा तुम शुरू करो, हम करेंगे. तो फॉर्म मेरे पास आते थे भर के, मैं वार्ड में जाती थी, अपने वो कप लेकर के, स्लाइड लेकर के, टेक्नीशियन को सड़क के उस पार करके आती थी एफएनएससी. काम बढ़ता गया. फिर आराम साहब ने कहा कि टाइम करेंगे. हमने का सर ये कहा ये टाइम बहुत वेस्ट होता है. फिर तो धीरे धीरे साइकोलॉजी का वो शुरू हुआ. तो इस तरह से 1973 से साइकोलॉजी शुरू हुई और 75 में जाके लैब एस्टेब्लिश हुई और 87 में एक्रीडिटेशन हुआ. क्योंकि मैं लाइफ मेंबर रही साइकोलॉजी की, सब कॉन्फ्रेंस अटेंड करती रही. माई एडवाइस टू ऑल एवरी पैथोलॉजिस्ट जो बड़े हैं, इनको लाइफ मेंबर बनना चाहिए अपने एसोसिएशन का आगे बढ़ने के लिए. ठीक, तो ये सब इस तरह से साइकोलॉजी का वो हुआ. इम्यूनोहिस्टोकेमिस्ट्री मधु ने कहा है, ये हमने 85-86 में थोड़ी सी हिस्टोकेमिस्ट्री करी थी. उसमें 3 पब्लिकेशन 85 के हैं, एक ब्रेस्ट में है, एक थायराइड में है, वो पब्लिकेशन है इसमें. तो 85 थोड़ा सा किया था. थैंक यू सो मच. बहुत अच्छा रहा, मधु ने बहुत डिटेल में बताया, बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर रहा. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, Madhavati Goyal ma'am and P.K. Garwal ma'am for your words. We now welcome Dr. Bandra Mehrotra ma'am, who is currently the CEO and Director and Consultant Pathologist at ISO 15189 accredited RML Pathology Lab, a graduate of the Emerald Medical College, Allahabad. Ma'am completed a post-graduation in Pathology and Bacteriology in 1988. We sincerely invite Mehrotra ma'am to share her insights into digital pathology, current perspectives and future. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone sitting here in this hall. And I would like to thank Professor U.S. Singh and for calling me here and Pro VC, Dr. Abjeet Kaur. I think she's not here. And thank you all the faculty members, Dr. Mili, for coordinating with me. And I would like to say something about digital pathology, and I am going to be short and crisp in my presentation. I've been a practicing pathologist for the last 39-40 years. And we have been practicing the way we were taught. Now the evolution which is coming up now, digitization of the glass slides, it's going to change the way the pathology is being practiced and the pathology is going to be taught. A big horizon of information is coming off from digitized slides because artificial intelligence is coming up and many artificial intelligence algorithms are there to make the diagnosis. But ultimately, I would also say that the glass slides and the microscopes are not going anywhere. The glass slides are the basic units for development of the digitized slides. Now, in short, I would like to tell you about the evolution, the core components, the implementation, and in what way we are using the digital pathology and the future trends. Digital pathology is incorporation and acquisition, sharing and interpretation of pathology information on including the slides on a digital environment. While glass slides are, the digital slides are created when glass slides are captured with a scanning device with automated microscope to provide a high resolution digital image that can be viewed on a microscopes. We are going into a box like on a computer or a mobile at our convenience. In conventional pathology, the slides are seen under the microscope as everyone is doing, and digital, the slides are scanned on a reading station where the image data are assessed and the pathologist does not use the microscope. Instead, he sees the data images on a computer or a phone. This is a diagrammatic representation of the way the work goes on. There are a number of differences. One is one slide at a time in traditional, and in digital we can view multiple images together and see the different stains at the same area on this screen. Physical shipment is required for traditional pathology, while in digital pathology the images can be shared for opinion from other pathologists. In traditional pathology, the glass slides are stored. They are in a physical form, and digital, all the data is digitalized and stored in the repository. Now, what digital pathology is not? It is not the elimination of glass slides, not the elimination of microscope, not the elimination of basic histo or histopathology, which we have been learning. And it is not the abandonment of 100 years plus morphology studies which we have been learning. It is not in vivo imaging, and it is not a computer diagnosis. A pathologist is always required to make the diagnosis, but now with the coming up of artificial intelligence, it is going to be an add-on tool for the pathologist to use it. The evolution of microscopy, I think it's in continuation with Dr. Madhuji's presentation. We started microscopy somewhere in 1600 with the development of compound microscopes. Then in 1932 came the electron microscope, and in 1980 we have the confocal microscopy. The digital microscopes came in 2000. So why were we motivated to adopt this system of digital pathology? It was for increasing our efficiency, faster analysis and streamlined workflows, enhanced collaboration, remote consultation and interdisciplinary teamwork was possible, and digital pathology facilitates the storage, archival, retrieval of the slides And there was no problem in breaking of the slides or fading of the slides after years. It is being used in education, teaching and training, easier to train the young pathologist, virtual telepathy, data storage, quality assurance program which we are running. Without glass slides, measurement are made easy on the built-in ruler in the software. Improved analysis using the artificial intelligence algorithms. It is used for research, publication, and work from home. Digital pathology was already in the way of developing, but the COVID-19 pandemic did impact. It made a great impact and adaptation of digital pathology at many places. So there was a great surge in the digital pathology users when COVID-19 was there. The core components of the digital pathology are the hardware and the software. The hardware includes the slide handling system, slide scanning, optics and detection, while the software has the image analysis viewer and the slide repository file format. There are different types of slide handling systems like the trays or the single slide holders or the magazines. And there is an automated microscope inside the scanner which takes the images of the slides in both X and Y axis. And each slide for being scanned takes about 2 to 3 minutes. The choice of scanners depends upon the users. The capacity is to scan 100 to 400 slides per day. And there are various slide handling mechanisms and a software is there which drives the scanner. The most common type of scanners use a bright field, which are used for routine H&E imaging, and besides they are also used for immunohistochemistry and for special stains. The other scanners are the fluorescence and the multispectral. Fluorescence is used for immunofluorescence for ANA reading, while multispectral are for research purposes. How is a slide scanned? The small tiles, they are slide in the form of small tiles or lines, and these lines or tiles, they are assembled to make a big image, and each point is being focused. There are different focus strategies, and commonly we use the focusing of end field, because it would take lesser time than focus on each field. Whole slide image. Whole slide image is a commonly used term, and it refers to creation of digital representation of the image presented by a glass histology at a detailed level to that seen with light microscope. It's the slide, it's actually the slide which we hold and see under the microscope. The same image is being scanned and we call it the whole slide image, and it is comparable to the glass slide. So how does the scanner OSI? The tissue is automatically detected by the microscope, automated microscope. Focus is done on every field. The image file is in the form of a pyramid. The highest resolution is at the top, is at the bottom, while the lowest at the top, and it's the thumbnail image. The scanning is done at 20x or 40x, and scanning at 40x takes a longer time than 20x. And at times for certain tissues like lymph node or special immunohistochemical, we have to request our scanners to scan these slides at 40x so that we can reach more magnification. Pixels are the basic unit. They collectively create the image. Resolution is the term used to describe the crispness of the image. Higher the resolution, higher the pixel, sharper shall be the image. This I've already told, the image is in a pyramidal form and it's a huge data. Now what is the size of this whole slide image? this slide, which appears so small and the tissue appears, it occupies a huge file data. So the data which is scanned has to be compressed and stored. An uncompressed file would take a data of 10 gigabyte, while after compression, when it's stored, it is at 400 to 500 megabytes. And you can compare, I would just like to say that this size, image size, 500 megabyte is a huge size. Now, one Netflix film, which is for 1 hour and 3 minutes, it has the storage space of 300 to 400 megabytes. So this single slide would occupy more space than a Netflix film. After the development of the images, they are stored in the repository and then they are available to be viewed by the viewer. Whole slide images are stored in dedicated servers which are called the digital slide repositories. They store the data and serves image data to a viewer client for remote access, and it supports the image analysis. A viewer client connects to the digital slide repository and requests for the number to be viewed, and we get the images. Now, why did digital pathology take longer time than radiology to develop? Radiology started somewhere in 1970 and 1980s, while the digital pathology came around 2000. In radiology, the source of the image is the direct patient or the live patient, and the images are simple. And in pathology, the glass slides are scanned, or the slides taken from the biobank, they were scanned. And because of the complexity of image, resolution problems and quality problems, storage required for higher resolution images, standardization challenges, regulatory approval and validation, cultural and workflow, it took a longer time. And the main thing was the cost and infrastructure. Digital pathology required a huge infrastructure and a very big cost. And education and training also was required. Now we come to the implementation. The implementation it's this diagrammatic representation. The slides are made in the usual way. They're scanned and then viewed on the computer. Commonly we don't use the mobile phones. Normally we use the computers for a bigger view. And then they are in the archive and can be archived any time after months or even years within a minute. Now, why is validation required? Since we have been practicing and using the microscope, it was not easy to leave the microscope and switch to digital pathology. So we still are always on the process of validation. For months, we reported on the glass slides. The slides were scanned, and again the report was compared with the digital slide images. And we have been practicing this for months to completely switch over to digital pathology. But still now we had both the systems parallel going on, because we have young pathologists working with us who generally use the physical glass slides, but they are also learning on the digital platform. And there are CAP guidelines for this validation. They have recommended that 60 HE stain slides and 20 slides of auxiliary technique, like of special stains and immunohistochemistry stains, to report it first on one platform, like first on glass slides, and after a 2-week washout period, they should be reported on digital platform only, and the reports compared. There are many studies carried out to validate the reports of digital pathology with the glass slides, and a discordant rate of 0.5 to 1% has been found, which is acceptable. In one study, there were around 3,000 cases which were reported by 1/3 by the same pathologist on both the platforms and 2/3 by different pathologists on both platforms, and the reports had hardly any discordance. So it was concluded that digital slide images are in no way inferior to the glass slides images. The limitations. The limitations are, the first and the foremost, it's expensive. It's very expensive. It needs a very big IT support system, and a good histological technical training is also required. Any variation in the slide, glass slide or cover slip, because we had to face all these problems when we were switching to digital pathology with our cover slipping, with our glass slides. We had to look into each and everything. We had to select a specific buyer to procure a particular measurement. And we also stopped using the small cover slips once we started, because we had problem with the small cover slips. We used the bigger cover slips. And then other limitations are the lack of training, and validation is required at every step. Not all pathology labs are equipped with necessary software to view the slides. And from a procedural point of view, image calibration and quality of image can become a problem. Now, the future trends in digital pathology. It is the development of the artificial intelligence and the artificial intelligence algorithms, which Madhuji has already told. For artificial intelligence integration for automated diagnosis of screening, improved analysis and better storage. This is a diagrammatic representation of whole slide image being scanned, image produced, and artificial neuronal network is there to analyze the image. It's, I think, an Israeli firm which is working on it. And Galen is the most widely deployed artificial intelligence platform which has worked on prostate, breast, and gastric carcinomas. Now, I would like, we started digitization somewhere around 8 years back. And practically, I would like to show you 2 or 3 cases which I have selected just to have a view of the digitized image and the way we function. I will connect you to our software which we are using for this digitization. It is by the name of Virtuuser. I have brought 2 or 3 cases of histopathology and 1 or 2 cytology cases. This I have entered the section number 58209. Now, this is a case of mastectomy specimen in which we have, this is in one glance how many slides were seen. The initial sections were from the skin and the margins. This is just to show you the quality of the images which are coming, and there is no diagnostic problems in these. And even one big advantage is that you can take it to a lower magnification of 0.25 to see, and I am taking out one of the lymph gland sections where there were 5 small lymph glands, and we can count the number of small lymph glands here and very well appreciate the metastasis in one of the glands. And at times when there are multiple small lymph nodes, the whole fatty tissue is sectioned just to see the number of cases. And in this case, we also had pages. The biggest advantage is the lower magnification, which provides a very good view of the whole slide image. Another case I am bringing of prostate biopsy. This was a case in which 12 core biopsies of prostate were received, and in 11 out of 12 there was prostatic hyperplasia with prostatitis, but in one of the sections there was a small focus of well-differentiated adenocarcinoma. There's some problem with the connection, I'm not sure. It's not coming. So in this, I could compare the stains of AMACR and high molecular weight cytokeratin together on the same screen, 65508. These are all the slides which are there. And this was a small focus of adenocarcinoma. The advantage of this is that I can view 2 images or even 4 images together on the same platform. Now on the AMACR slide of the same area. See, it shows AMACR positivity, and this is the well-differentiated adenocarcinoma. And on this side also, I would like to take out the high molecular weight cytokeratin. See this, in this slide, we can see the absence of high molecular weight cytokeratin in this field, while the presence of AMACR in the same focus. So there can be confocal images of the area together, and this is particularly useful in the lymph gland biopsy when we have to see the T cells, B cells, and the Hodgkin cells, and when there is a doubt whether these are the Hodgkin cells or not. Then we are also using it for measurement of thickness or the collagenous layer. We had few cases of collagenous colitis, in which we measured the thickness of the collagenous layer in this. I am taking out the Messon's trichrome stain of the same of a colonic biopsy, and it has measuring tools. The software has the advantages where we can measure them. So like this, we can measure the thickness in microns of the collagenous layer and be more comfortable in reporting. After this, I would like to show you one of the FNAC smears, just to show that the quality of images are in no way inferior to the glass slide images. And we are also using them in ER, PR and HER2. This is a case of fibroadenoma breast, the FNAC, and then there is one more advantage that we can increase the brightness of the color or reduce the contrast just to have a better view in case we find that it is not appropriate. Now we have some more cases of PR, HER2 which we can share, but I think we are over our time. And at the end of this, I would like to say that any new technology which is coming up is not going to leave the old ones. It is an add-on tool which would assist us in making better diagnosis and would lead us to be better clinicians and pathologists. Like in 1950s, there was the special stains came. Then in 1960s, the electron microscope came. Then in 1980s, there was immunohistochemistry. Then in 2000 came this digital pathology. All these are add-on tools which are making up to be more specific, which would aid in the treatment of the patient and make us better pathologists, and we would be able to provide guidelines for treatment with these. Now, with this, I would like to end the cases, though I have more sections to be shown, but I think that's enough.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you a question.
Yes.
With your 4 decades of experience, ma'am, don't you think that compared to other previous technologies which have helped the pathologists to become a better pathologist, this one with the use of AI combined, and when the softwares are telling us the cell to nuclei ratio, presence of nucleoli, mitotic counts, and so many now everything the AI is doing. Don't you think that it is also a danger for a job of a pathologist?
No, I don't think that the pathologists or radiologists are going anywhere. Because these artificial intelligence, how did they develop? They were developed from millions of cases studied from the biobank, and the images which were already annotated by the pathologists. Like in breast, they annotated the carcinoma, then the type of carcinoma. AI will develop, but it is never going to replace the pathologist or the radiologist.
Western world, AI has completely replaced the hematologists and clinical pathologists. They have only surgical anatomic pathologists left, and they are also fearing that in coming decades they may be completely.
I don't know what's going on, but I think here we are, because
But it is a very grave and serious thing.
see, artificial intelligence is not only in pathology. Artificial intelligence is there in all the fields of medicine. It is there in on the medical side. Most of, except I think the surgeons have to do the surgery. Otherwise, all the things are taken care of the artificial intelligence. But the doctors are going to be there. And I don't think the basic histology, histopathology, or the microscope will go anywhere. Not in our lifetime, what I think. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us a glimpse into the digitalization of pathology. We certainly picked up a few pointers. We're blessed to have with us budding young alumni, Dr. Manish Kumar Singh, sir, a prodigy and testament of this department's hard work. Having done his MBBS and MD from KGMU, his senior residency from SGPGIMS, his postdoctoral fellowship in cancer cytogenetics from TMC Kolkata. He's currently working as an associate professor in the Department of Hematology, SGPGIMS, Lucknow. We request, sir, to graciously enlighten us with a few words on lab diagnosis of myeloid neoplasms in 2024.
So first I would like to thank Millie ma'am, US Singh sir, and all the other faculty members to invite me to give a talk on lab diagnosis of myeloid neoplasm. So the lecture of Goel ma'am was nostalgic to me because all the names which she has shown, so most of them taught me, and some of them are those who have taught my uncle, who was also 1975 batch here. So I have met some of them also. So, and I would like to thank all the faculty members here who have taught me, but especially I would like to mention Ashutosh Kumar sir, who was actually my mentor and who taught me and who pushed me to the hematology. And somewhere down the line, when I was doing core hematology, I realized that what work he has done, especially in the field of blood coagulation here in KGMC, it is exceptional. Blood coagulation is a part of pathology, but it is actually, supposedly it is thought as a thankless job in the private sector, in the institute. But what sir has done here, it was exceptional. So, moving to my presentation, so just start with the biology of AML. So AML is characterized or initiated by a stem cell called as cancer stem cells, and unlike in normal hematopoiesis, this cancer stem cell which gives rise to leukemic progenitors and precursors, and some of these may be termed as myeloid blasts, and subsequently two main events which occur during the pathogenesis. First is there is a advantage of the proliferation, and second was the lack of differentiation. And AML itself is a disease primarily of adults and elderly, and in comparison to other pediatric malignancy, AML is quite rare in pediatric population. But the outcome of the AML in pediatric patients is just opposite. Pediatric patients fare much better than the adults counterparts, but overall as a disease, AML is a worse disease, and according to the latest NCI or CI database, out of the 3 AML patients, only 1 will survive after 5 years. And there comes the utility of genomics. So in the recent past, as more and more genetics has pumped up into the diagnosis, so the utility of genomics lies or can be characterized in 3 ways. Either it could be a diagnostic marker, or it could be a prognostic marker, or it could be a predictive marker. So for example, the presence of a BCR-ABL1 fusion in the setting of myeloproliferative neoplasm is diagnostic of CML. But the presence of same BCR-ABL fusion in the setting of BLL is a prognostic marker. And if we treat those BLL patients with the TKI-based therapy, then it becomes a predictive marker. And with the advancement of these markers, we have got the opportunity to develop specific targets which can specific clone in the AMLs. So it looks promising, but reality is we are still struggling in myeloid neoplasm. And this is the change which has happened in the recent years, and the WHO, rather than AML, I think all the other malignancies like brain cancer, lung, breast, soft tissue, all the cancer are now being designated by their genetic makeup rather than the morphology. So in the AML, these genetic markers also show age-dependent distribution. So the pediatric AMLs are enriched with the good risk markers like 821 in version 16, 911, and while the adults AML are enriched with the poor risk markers like complex karyotypes and TP53 alterations. And European leukemia net risk categorization. I will not go into detail of this classification, but just we have to realize that this risk categorization of European leukemia net has been developed for the patients who are fit enough to get an intensive chemotherapy, and the decision of the subsequent consolidation therapy was based on this categorization. And ELN itself says that the risk categorization is a dynamic event and it should change during the treatment course based on the results of the MRD analysis. So for an elderly AML who is not fit enough to receive an intensive chemotherapy, the whole exercise of categorizing the risk category and identifying the genetic markers is questionable. And what are the different diagnostic tests which we use for this genetic characterization? So starting with the karyotyping. So for me, karyotyping is the only test which offers you, which tells you about the single cell whole genome analysis. However, at a lower resolution, and the major limitation is that it requires cultured cells. FISH is a biased technique and it provides you information in a much better resolution than the karyotyping, but it only answers the question which have been asked. Microarray is another unbiased technique like karyotyping, and it allows you to identify the structural variation which are most cryptic. But the disadvantage is that it cannot detect the balance rearrangement which are quite common in myeloid neoplasm. And so the technique of microarray is now the technique of choice in constitutional genetics, but in cancer diagnosis, the utility is still limited. Optical genome mapping is the another forward of the microarray plus FISH, where we use the high molecular weight DNA and tag them with the fluorescent dye on the slide, and with the help of software, we analyze the whole genome. Again, this is a research tool as of now. Now the next is the targeted sequencing, whole exome sequencing and whole genome sequencing are basically the DNA sequencing methods, and they differs basically on the target which we want to study. In targeted sequencing, we only analyze the specific gene of interest. Same is in the exome sequencing, while the whole genome sequencing theoretically tells us about the whole genome. And RNA sequencing is the technique of choice to study the gene expression. As of now, karyotyping, FISH and targeted sequencing are the most widely used technique in the cancer diagnosis, and whole genome sequencing is supposed to replace all these techniques, at least in the theory. But in real time, this was one of the landmark publications where they have compared the cytogenetics, FISH, targeted sequencing with the whole genome sequencing in real time. So what they did, they evaluated 71 patients of the myeloid neoplasm and categorized based on the conventional techniques and the whole genome sequencing technique. And what they found, that out of the 19 intermediate risk AML patients, only 9 patients were benefited by the whole genome sequencing based technique. So what does it mean? It means that the whole genome sequencing based approach can help you to identify those intermediate risk patients who can be benefited by the more aggressive therapy. The utility of whole genome sequencing in favorable risk and the adverse risk patient is not very paramount. And there comes the challenge. So the whole genome sequencing looks promising, but the real challenge is the cost. In India, the healthcare is not insurance driven, and most of these techniques are not affordable for the routine patients. So the challenge is to make them affordable. And as the previous speakers told about the technology, so this is called as the Gartner cycle of hype. So the technology has to become mature enough so that it can be adopted in the routine clinical practice, so that the society can be benefited. And this applies to all the technologies which we had and which we have. So now I move to the few case scenarios. This is for the postgraduate students to just emphasize that the diagnosis itself is not a single entity. It is basically a multifaceted approach. So the scenario one is these are 2 karyotypes of female patients, both are AML patients, and you can identify that the second 11 is somewhat abnormal, and so both the karyotype shows same abnormality, that is translocation 11-17. So this is the morphology of these 2 patients. So if I have this beforehand information, before going to the karyotype, that the first patient has a morphology more resemble like a monoblastic leukemia, and monoblastic leukemia in the setting of 11-17, I know that monoblastic leukemias are enriched with the MLL rearrangement, so I can put forward that translocation 11-17, the first patient leads to a MLL rearrangement, while the second patient look like more like APML. So APML is characterized by PML RARA transfusion. So there are another variant of RARA which is called as variant RARA. So second patient which shows the 11-17 is actually a variant RARA translocation of the PLZF and RARA fusion. So the morphology still matters to us. But there are other cases as well. So again, two cases. So first patient presented with both patients presented with pancytopenia. First patient showed the hemodiluted marrow, blast was there. Some of them show MPO positivity. So we were sure that it is an AML. But the second case was really challenging. So marrow was diluted. There was very few blast. There was dyspoesis, monocytic precursors. Even the flow showed 2.3% blast only. But both these cases show same genetic abnormalities, that is inversion 16. First on the karyotype, as you can appreciate, and the second patient showed the inversion 16 on the fish. So second case also highlights why WHO now decreases the blast count, has decreased the blast count in AMLs. So coming to the third scenario, so again two patients. One presented with pancytopenia, other had chronic anemia. Both are showing identical abnormality of the deletion of chromosome, long arm of chromosome 5. So this is deletion 5. Deletion 5q in the setting of MDS is good risk, and these patients can be treated with lenalidomide based therapy. But the morphology, look at the morphology. The first patient was, the marrow was hypocellular. There was only subtle dyspoesis in the megakaryocytes. However, in the second case, the marrow was hypercellular. There was much more fibrosis. So both the morphologic diagnosis was different in both the cases. However, the genetic abnormalities was the same. This again brings us to the recent classification. Now the MDS can be defined. Now we have an entity called as MDS with fibrosis. But just a caveat for the diagnosis of MDS, which is now, this is recently published, where they have evaluated 264 consecutive MDS patients, and they reviewed their diagnosis by a central committee. And what they have found, that there was a discordance rate of 21% in the MDS diagnosis. Fortunately, majority of these patients didn't receive the treatment, but 7% of these patients received inappropriate therapy. So the morphologic diagnosis of MDS is always challenging. And the last scenario, so two pediatric patients, both were thought to be aplastic anemia, and the clinical diagnosis corroborated in the first patient, as we can appreciate, it was a hypocellular marrow. The second case was again hypercellular. There was so many megakaryocytes, proliferation of megakaryocytes. So, and there was dyspoesis. So it was thought that the second case was a childhood MDS. In the first case, the karyotype was unsuccessful, but the second case showed monosomy 7. So it is again corroborated that it could be a childhood MDS. So as a routine workup, we subject these patients for the mitomycin C-induced chromosomal stress test, which is used to identify whether the patient doesn't belong to the bone marrow failure syndrome. So in this, both the cases shows increased sensitivity to the mitomycin C-induced chromosomal stress test, which suggests that there is an abnormality in the DNA repair mechanism. Subsequently, the clinical exome sequencing was sent, and it showed a variant in the FANC-A gene. Then the family members were increased. They were also showed the same clinical finding. And this brings us to this last category, that is the myeloid neoplasm and inherited germline disorder. So why it is important to identify inherited or germline disorder in a setting of myeloid neoplasm? Because first, it helps in the diagnosis as well as the management. And second, it helps to identify the carriers, which subsequently helps in the family screening. Thank you.
That was well put, sir. We thank you for these articulate words. As we segue our way towards the end of today's ceremony, we most courteously invite our beloved Professor Suresh Babu, sir, to close the ceremony by delivering the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to everybody. So today's program is conducting since morning. We are enjoying a lot of academic informations. So I would like to thank online and offline of this Pathology Foundation Day programs attending here as well as online. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude on the behalf of Department of Pathology to Honorable, respectable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sonia Nityanan. She was not here, she was busy somewhere else. I would like to thanks to her. Second, I will also like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Madhumati Goyal. She is our chief orator today and enlightened to us with great words of the wisdom. She is our teachers and she is giving to lot of information to our residents as well faculty, and she told very nicely to journey of pathology. Hereby, I am also extend my sincere thanks to respected Professor Vice Chancellor Professor Abhijit Kaur to with her vision and guiding words and being always extremely thankful to our respectable Dean Academic Professor Amita Jain for our continuing support, love, affections for Department Pathology, and that is their parents' departments. On the behalf of my Department of Pathology, I express heartfelt thanks to our honorable guest, Professor and Dr. Vandana Malhotra. She is an eminent pathologist of RML Pathology. And also thanks to Dr. Manish Kumar. He is an associate professor at GP Jai. He is our alumni. I also thanks to our honorable teacher, Professor P.K. Agarwal, Professor S.M. Natu, Dr. and Mrs. Anita Malhotra, Dr. Raj Malhotra, and also Mrs. of Astush Kumar, Dr. Amita Jain. I also thanks to special to my HOD, Professor USC, Department of Pathology. He is the chief architect of these events. And he is very much positive and encouraging to all faculty members. I also express my sincere regards to all faculty members, Department of Pathology, in their support and contributing making these events a very successful endeavor, and with special thanks to Dr. Willy Jain and Chanchal Rana. I also give my special thanks to my residents as well as staff of the departments. This program is possible with the contribution support of them. At last, I will thanks all of you to attend these programs and giving a pleasure for all. Thank you very much.
I request Babu sir, please, to present a token of respect to our technical staff. Kusum Lata Mishra, Ram Sarup ji. Durga Prasad ji. Maurya ji. Umesh Chandra Tiwari ji. Umesh Chandra. Thank you. We'll now proceed for lunch. The lunch for the resident and the faculty is in the HOD's room. And for the technical staff in the adjacent gallery. जी सर.
सारे staff and faculties and other faculty of the other departments